hear me now? Yes. So what will I do? Yes, great. So guys, I think you can hear me. आपको फिर से quickly बता देता हूँ. So today I'm going to cover freeCodeCamp. freeCodeCamp पे मैं responsive web design certification का course करने वाला हूँ. And I will begin with this. Now, so how did I get here? So I opened a new tab. I wrote freecodecamp.org. These guys have different courses, and you can see here it says learn to code for free. So that's what I'm going to do today. And it says build projects, earn certification. Since 2014, more than 40,000 freecodecamp.org graduates have gotten jobs at tech companies including Apple, Google, Microsoft, Spotify, Amazon.com, and many others. But yes, including, so many, 40,000 graduates. Anyway, so this is the website. This is what it looks like. freeCodeCamp students are a local group studying in South Korea, and as seen in the more you scroll, the more you learn what this is about. Here's what our alumni say about freeCodeCamp. Sean Wang in Singapore. So different people, and again you see the get started button, and if you scroll down it will show you ये courses में आपको certification मिल सकता है. So responsive web design certification ये सबसे पहला course मैं शुरू करने वाला हूँ, and you have all these courses जो हम future में cover करेंगे. और फिर frequently asked questions होते हैं. आज आपको भी question होगा what exactly is freeCodeCamp. So you can see here freeCodeCamp is a community of people from all around the world who are learning code together, and this is 503C. ये भी पता नहीं क्या है. Let's find out what this is. So I'll go to this. I'll copy that text, and मैंने यहाँ पे Google search किया, and it says like here we are at 501C3. C is in brackets and 3 is in brackets. Public charity. और यहाँ पे लिखा है 501C3 organization. So organization is a United States corporation, trust, unincorporated association with other type of organization exempt from federal income tax. Of course we can read more, and यहाँ पे सब लिखा है. So trust, unincorporated association. What is an unincorporated association? So our one vehicle for people to cooperate towards a common goal. So if people have a common goal, so it's a United States corporation, trust, or other type of organization exempt from federal income tax. So these guys, yes, they are exempt from federal income tax under this section, which is this, and they are a public charity from all these trust, unincorporated association, other type of organization, etc. etc. I'll zoom in so that you guys can see clearly. To zoom in I press command plus. जैसे command plus दबाया तो ये मुझे सब दिखने लगा. I will minimize this. Excuse me. Yes, you don't need to minimize that. I think you can read this. So this is the definition. It is one of the 29 types of 501c non-profit organization. So out of those 29 types, freeCodeCamp is one of them. Continuing. So how will freeCodeCamp help me learn to code? So कैसे सीखेंगे? So you'll learn to code by building dozens of projects step by step right in your browser, code editor, or mobile app. So you can do this on your phone. You can in your browser, the Chrome browser that I'm using. You can use Firefox, any browser really. Code editor, you can also use VS Code. I don't know how that works, but it says code editor or mobile app. So mobile में भी app है freeCodeCamp. You can use that to learn, and after you learn you will also earn free verified certifications along the way. I'll scroll up a little bit, scroll down, sorry. Is freeCodeCamp really free? Yes, it is completely free. You guys can start learning with me right now. And just a second, in the meanwhile I'll open the chat for anyone to see. Give me a second, guys. And just a second. In the meanwhile, why don't you listen to this music? Great. Now that I have the chat open, I can I can continue with freeCodeCamp. Great. So now that I have freeCodeCamp, really, okay. So can freeCodeCamp help me get a job as a software developer? Yes. Every year, thousands of people who join freeCodeCamp community get their first software developer job. That's amazing. And what skills will we learn? You will learn the skills most developers use on the job: HTML, CSS. So HTML is hypertext markup language. CSS is, well, cascading style sheets, JavaScript, Python, Linux, Git, SQL, and more. There's also SQL. You'll also learn how to use powerful libraries for web development, mobile app development, data science, and artificial intelligence. How long does it take to learn all this? freeCodeCamp is self-paced. रियलिस्टिकली मतलब जब सेल्फ पेस की बात करें तो आपको अपने लेजर की अपने स्पीड के हिसाब से आप लर्न कर सकते हैं. जैसे आप दिन में 1 घंटा स्पेंड करना चाहते हैं तो आप वो भी कर सकते हैं. whatever amount you think necessary you can spend. Realistically, it may take several years of practice in coding to learn these skills. So they're saying that यहाँ पे आप कोर्स करेंगे बट फिर भी you'll have to it takes several years of practicing to learn code या फिर to learn these skills well enough to get a job as a software designer. तो यहाँ पे लिख दिया है. आप ये मत समझिए कि freeCodeCamp पे आपने कोर्स कर लिया तो आपको जॉब मिल जाएगी. Don't quit school or your day job until you feel ready. So like it says, you must not, don't quit school or your day job. अगर आपको लगता नहीं आप ready है तब तक don't drop out of school. Don't use this as a reason to drop out of school. How do I get started? So if you're a beginner, you should start at the beginning of freeCodeCamp core curriculum. So well, of course, सबसे पहला कोर्स वही है responsive web design certificate. So as a beginner, I will also start that course. And अगर मुझे लगता है अगर मेरे पास एक्सपीरियंस है तो then I can even learn a little bit more and I can jump to advanced courses myself. Now, how do I earn the free verified certifications? For each certification, you need to build its 5 certification projects and get all of the project tests to pass to be able to claim your certification. Simple. आगे इसके अंदर 5 सर्टिफिकेशन प्रोजेक्ट्स आएंगे और उसके पहले ऑफ कोर्स स्टेप्स दिखाएंगे, आपको बताएंगे कि ये छोटे छोटे प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं. एंड वो 5 सर्टिफिकेशन प्रोजेक्ट्स के बेसिस पे आप टेस्ट को पास करेंगे. So get all of the project tests to pass to be able to claim your certifications. So if you build 5 certification projects, then you can claim your certification in that area. I think, that's it. I don't see name of a tool in the freeCodeCamp core curriculum. Aside from the freeCodeCamp core curriculum, we have thousands of free full-length books, courses and programming tutorials. So let's say आपको कुछ नई दिख रहा है यहाँ पे जो freeCodeCamp पे सिखाते हैं. Then they've also listed thousands of free full-length books जहाँ पे आप वो कोर्स को लर्न कर सकते हैं या फिर आपको वो लैंग्वेज लर्न करना है या फिर आपको कुछ और लर्न करना है. You can do that. And courses, programming tutorials, we almost certainly teach whatever programming tools you want to learn. Happy coding. Great. And यहाँ पे लिखा है aside from CodeCamp curriculum, we have thousands of free. We almost certainly teach whatever. So just यहाँ पे मैं सर्च बार यूज़ करके मुझे जो भी सीखना है मैं वो सर्च कर सकता हूँ. So of course I am going to learn responsive web design first and then I'll continue. So I'll click on get started. It's free. As soon as I click on get started, it will show me these options. सबसे पहला responsive web design certification. So I'm going to start from scratch anyway. So I'll go with responsive web design certification. Open किया. What does this say? Responsive web design. In this responsive web design certification, you'll learn the languages that developers use to build web pages. Web pages में क्या आता है? So HTML, hypertext markup language for content and CSS for design. तो ये वेबसाइट का लुक कैसा होना चाहिए, कैसा दिखना चाहिए, क्या कलर होना चाहिए, कैसा बॉक्स दिखना चाहिए, बॉक्स का कर्व कैसा होना चाहिए, etc etc. Whatever we need to know, we can find here. We can manipulate that using CSS. And HTML मुझे वेबसाइट में क्या दिखाना है, क्या टेक्स्ट दिखाना है, वो टेक्स्ट कैसा दिखना चाहिए, वो कौन सा फॉन्ट का होना चाहिए, content. And just to be sure, I will also look up the word content and I'll confirm the meaning. So I can go here. In a state of peaceful happiness. He seemed more content, less bitter. So this is adjective. This meaning is not what we're looking for. We're looking for a noun that sounds like content. So the things that are held or included in something. So ये वेबसाइट में क्या है वो HTML करता है, और वो जो भी है, वो जो भी कंटेंट वो कैसा दिखना चाहिए, then we use CSS. Okay, so moving on. First you'll build a cat photo app to learn the basics of HTML and CSS. So what is a cat photo app? It will show us what a cat photo app is, and it will also help us every step of the way. वो क्या दिखता है, वो क्या है, and how you can build what's on the screen. Later you'll learn modern techniques like CSS variables by building a penguin, and best practices for accessibility by building a quiz site. So slowly you'll learn everything. सबसे पहले हम लोग cat photo app करेंगे, उसके बाद CSS यूज़ करके, like CSS variables को यूज़ करके, it's a modern technique. So one of the modern techniques is CSS variables, और उसकी मदद से हम penguin build करेंगे. I'm not sure what penguin is. Are they referring to an actual penguin या फिर penguin का drawing? But I think we'll find out as we go along. And then best practices for accessibility by building a quiz site. इसका भी idea मुझे कुछ है नहीं. So what are they talking about accessibility? Let's find out. What does accessibility mean? So quality of being able to be reached or entered. Wait a second, एक sound आ रहा. Anyway, our security concerns have to be balanced with public accessibility, ease of access. So I think we're gonna click on more and let's find out कौन सा meaning fit कर रहा है. So and best practices for accessibility by building a quiz site. So accessibility, usability, something related to use. So देखते हैं यहाँ पे कंप्यूटर का मीनिंग क्या दिखा रहा है. So quality of being able to be reached or entered, the quality of being easy to obtain or use. I think this is what they're talking about, but let's continue. The quality of being easily understood or appreciated, the quality of being easily reached, entered or used by people who have a disability. I think this is not the meaning that they're trying to say here. And the accessibility of his work helped to popularize modern art, maybe. And then students were concerned about the accessibility of quality academic counseling. So I think the quality of being easy to obtain or use. So quality of being easy to obtain or use. मैं quiz site को कैसे use कर सकता हूँ, उसमें क्या क्या accessibility हो सकती है, देती है. But I'm still not sure. So what I'll do is I'll copy this and I'll Google define accessibility. The quality of being able to be reached or entered. Let's click on see more. तो हमें थोड़ा दिखाएगा कि कंप्यूटर्स या फिर IT के रिलेटेड ये इसका मीनिंग क्या होता है. The quality of being easy to obtain or use, again वही मीनिंग आया. The quality of being easily understood or appreciated. So I think this is the meaning. Let's scroll down. कोई ऑप्शन, कोई और मीनिंग्स नहीं दिखा रहा है. So I think it's safe to say that this is the meaning. The quality of being easily reached, entered or used by people who have a disability. This could also be the meaning. So we want something accessible. कोई भी यूज़ कर सकता है. वैसी वेबसाइट बनानी हो, किसी को भी समझ आ जाए कि कहाँ जानना है, क्या क्लिक करना है, उसके लिए उसकी प्रैक्टिसेस दिखाएंगे कि बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस, क्या प्रैक्टिसेस को फॉलो किया जाता है, कौन सी पैटर्न्स, कौन सी टेक्निक्स को फॉलो किया जाता है, जिससे ये वेबसाइट ज़्यादा एक्सेसिबल बने, ज़्यादा ईजी टू यूज़ बने. फाइनली यू लर्न हाउ टू मेक वेब पेजेस that respond to different screen sizes by building a photo gallery with Flexbox and a magazine article layout with CSS grid. So I think we'll learn what CSS grid is and what a Flexbox is, or what Flexbox is. And यहाँ से हमें दिखाएगा कि let's say मुझे एक वेबसाइट हर एक फ़ोन में अलग अलग दिखानी है. let's say मुझे मोबाइल फ़ोन अपना, हमारे पास कुछ लोगों के पास आईफोन होता है, कुछ लोगों के पास सैमसंग होता है, कुछ लोगों के पास मोटोरोला आता है, किसी के पास नोकिया होता है, एट्सेट्रा एट्सेट्रा. तो अलग अलग फ़ोन में फिर किसी की अलग अलग स्क्रीन साइज़ होती है. फ़ोन की स्क्रीन साइज़ अलग होती है. मेरे पास कोई लैपटॉप होगा तो लैपटॉप की स्क्रीन साइज़ अलग होती है. अलग अलग लैपटॉप्स भी होती है, 13 इंच, 14 इंच, 16 इंच, एट्सेट्रा एट्सेट्रा. दैन यू हैव मॉनिटर्स टू, यू हैव डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ डिफरेंट स्क्रीन्स विद डिफरेंट स्क्रीन साइजेस. एंड उसके लिए उसमें सब यूनिफॉर्म कैसा दिखे, हर एक वेबसाइट के लिए ऐसा क्या कर सकता है जिससे ये सब बराबर दिखे एंड इट लुक्स गुड. सो वो दिखाएगा. सो विल मेक वेब पेजेस दैट रिस्पॉन्ड टू डिफरेंट स्क्रीन साइजेस. एंड वो कैसे दिखाएंगे, वो कैसे प्रैक्टिस करेंगे. सो देन विल क्रिएट a photo gallery with flexbox. And what flexbox is, I don't know what that means, but then I think we will come across what a flexbox is in the courses that we will cover. Now continuing, and a magazine article layout. So magazine article layout कैसा दिखेगा अलग अलग स्क्रीन्स में, और वो क्या दिखना चाहिए वो हम सीखेंगे. what are the best practices again. एंड देन नोट दिखा रहा है. नोट में वो सिंपली बोल रहा है कि वो कुछ ब्राउज़र एक्सटेंशंस होते हैं, जैसे कि लेट्स से ऐड ब्लॉकर यूज़ कर रहे हैं हम लोग हमारे लैपटॉप में, तो कोई भी वेबसाइट में हमें ऐड नहीं दिख रही है. सो उसकी वजह से शायद वो वेबसाइट में जो हम लोग टेस्ट दे रहे हैं या फिर हम लोग कुछ लर्न कर रहे हैं उसमें वो इंटरफेयर कर सकता है. और फिर लेट्स से कोई इश्यूज़ फेस किए तो उससे भी कोई प्रॉब्लम आई, डार्क मोड एक्सटेंशन यूज़ किया. कुछ लोग ऐसे होते हैं जिनको गूगल को भी वाइट कलर में यूज़ लाइट मोड में यूज़ नहीं करना, और दे वांट टू लुक एट एवरी वेबसाइट विथ लाइट डार्क मोड एंड नॉट लाइट मोड. तो वो फोर्स डार्क मोड के भी एक्सटेंशंस आते हैं. ऑफ कोर्स एंड वी कैन चूज़ एनी एंड वी शुड टर्न दीज ऑफ. अगर कोई टेस्ट सीखने में हमें डिफ़िकल्टी हो रही है या फिर हम लोग जो टेक्स्ट सीख रहे हैं उसमें कोई एरर्स दिखा रहे हैं या फिर जैसा दिखना चाहिए जैसी वेबसाइट दिखनी चाहिए वो ना दिखे, तो इन सच इश्यूज़, इफ़ यू फेस सच इश्यूज़, तो आप प्लीज़ एक्सटेंशंस को बंद करके देखिए, डिसेबल करके देखिए और फिर चेक करिए अगर आपका कोई प्रॉब्लम बंद नहीं हो रहा है. सो गाइज, आई हैव फिनिश्ड द कैट फोटो ऐप, बट to show you how it works and what I have been doing, I'll open the first one and I'll show you how it works, what it is. So let's see. So courses पे गए, यहाँ पे सबसे पहले दिखा रहा है learn HTML by building a cat photo app. So हमने पहले भी रीड किया, यहाँ पे भी cat photo app की बात कर रहे थे. First you will build a cat photo app. So like I read, यहाँ पे लिखा ही है learn HTML by building a cat photo app. So let's read what they're saying. HTML tags give a web page its structure. You can use HTML tag to add photos, buttons and other elements to your web page. So yes, so HTML वेबसाइट में टैग्स होते हैं एंड वो टैग्स को यूज़ करके हम वेबसाइट को एक स्ट्रक्चर दिखते हैं. ऑल्सो वेब पेज, तो वो वेब पेज कैसा दिखना चाहिए, वेब पेज में क्या दिखना चाहिए, और H1 क्या होता है, हेडर क्या होता है, टाइटल क्या होता है, टाइटल के अंदर टेक्स्ट क्या होता है, पैराग्राफ क्या होता है, वो सब का मीनिंग समझाएंगे. और वो स्ट्रक्चर कैसे बनता है, वो HTML टैग से बनता है, वो दिखाएंगे. एंड you can use HTML tags to add photos, buttons and other elements to your web page. So you can use other, yes. So मैं अलग अलग टैग्स को यूज़ करके मैं फ़ोटोज़ डाल सकता हूँ. मुझे बटन डालना है, बटन एज इन दिस इज़ अ बटन, इसको मैं क्लिक करता हूँ तो चेंज होता है. चेंज कैसे होता है? सो व्हेन आई क्लिक इट, दिस कोलैप्सेस एंड इट शोज़ मी व्हाट दैट शोज़ दिस इंफॉर्मेशन एंड दीज बटन्स. ये भी बटन्स है. हाउ आर दे बटन्स? सो मुझे देख के पता चल रहा है, जैसे मैं माउस उस पर लेके जाता हूँ तो वो कलर चेंज होता है. एज यू कैन सी हियर, मेरे माउस का आइकॉन चेंज हो गया. ऑफ कोर्स आई एम स्टिल स्क्रोलिंग द माउस, आई एम स्टिल मूविंग द माउस with the mouse, but you can see the icon change. जैसे मैं यहाँ पे आइकॉन लेके जाता हूँ तो माउस मेरा it looks like an arrow. The moment I move it here, it looks like a hand, something that's pinching. ऐसा कुछ लग रहा है कि दो हाथ, एक हाथ की दो उंगलियाँ कुछ कर रही है. So that's how I know that it's a button. So that the same way, जब मैं यहाँ पे लेके जाता हूँ तो this is text, this is something I cannot click on. एंड आप ये तो देख के पता ही चल जाता है कि दिस इज़ नॉट अ फ़ोटो. कैसे पता चलता है कि ये स्क्रीनशॉट नहीं है टेक्स्ट का और ये एक्चुअली फ़ोटो है? तो जब मैं माउस लेके जाता हूँ तो यहाँ पे ये आई जैसा दिखने वाला सिंबल दिखाया जाता है. दिस इज़ नॉट आई बट दिस इज़ व्हाट इट लुक्स लाइक. तो इससे मुझे पता चल जाता है दिस इज़ टेक्स्ट. सो यू कैन यूज़ HTML tags to add photos, buttons and other elements to your web page. In this course you'll learn the most common HTML tags by building your own cat photo app. Great. सो अदर एलिमेंट्स देखते हैं कौन से क्या एलिमेंट्स दिखा रहे हैं, व्हाट आर दे टॉकिंग अबाउट. बट ये देख के ब्रॉड आइडिया आ गया कि इस HTML टैग से हम लोग फ़ोटोज़ डाल सकते हैं हमारी वेबसाइट पे, बटन्स डाल सकते हैं, अदर एलिमेंट्स डाल सकते हैं, नॉट वेबसाइट, वेब पेज, सॉरी. एंड I'll click on the first one. Let's see, let's go. Great. So जैसे ही मैंने क्लिक किया, so the moment I clicked on this, it showed me this preview, and it says here's a preview of what you will build. So that's an amazing thing about freeCodeCamp. freeCodeCamp पे दिखाते ही है कि हम लोग शुरू करने से पहले ये बनाने वाला है. तो as soon as I scrolled मुझे दिख रहा है यहाँ पे ये कुछ कैट फ़ोटो ऐप है, कैट फ़ोटोज़ है, इन दोनों की साइज़ अलग है. देन सी मोर कैट फ़ोटोज़, तो ये कुछ लिंक दिखा रहा है क्योंकि इसका कलर अलग है बाकी सब टेक्स्ट से और उसके पे अंडरलाइन लगी है, तो मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि ये कुछ लिंक है. देन एंड आई कैन ऑल्सो कन्फर्म, जैसे मैं माउस लेके जाता हूँ उस पर, सो इसका आइकॉन चेंज होता है, यहाँ पे भी आइकॉन चेंज होता है, बट इट चेंजेस टू अ हैंड एंड समथिंग लाइक अ ग्लव. एंड यहाँ पे मैं रखता हूँ तो आई जैसा सिंबल दिखाता है. सो दैट्स हाउ आई नो दैट दिस इज़ अ लिंक. देन वी हैव एन इमेज, फ़ोटो, एंड फ़ोटो पे भी जैसे मैं माउस हवर करता हूँ तो यहाँ पे आइकॉन चेंज होता है माउस का, एंड दैट्स हाउ आई नो दैट इट्स अ लिंक. एनीवे, मूविंग ऑन, दिस इज़ व्हाट वी हैव टू बिल्ड. कैट फॉर्म, हम लोग कुछ इमेजेस डालेंगे, कुछ टेक्स्ट डालेंगे, और इमेजेस के बीच में कुछ स्पेसिंग डालेंगे. यहाँ पे टॉप 3 थिंग्स, कैट्स हेट, कैट लिस्ट, एट्सेट्रा एट्सेट्रा. और कुछ फॉर्म बनाने का है, फॉर्म में कुछ क्वेश्चंस है और हम लोग उसका URL डालेंगे सो दैट वी कैन सबमिट अ कैट फोटो, एंड इट सेज नो कॉपीराइट, freeCodeCamp, एंड दैट्स वेयर इट एंड्स. नाउ आई कैन क्लिक ऑन स्टार्ट कोडिंग. तो ये हम लोग बनाएंगे एंड लेट्स गो. ग्रेट. सो सबसे पहला स्टेप 1, यहाँ पे हेलो वर्ल्ड लिखा हुआ है. सो यहाँ पे हमारा प्रीव्यू चलता रहेगा. इफ़ यू डोंट वांट टू लुक एट द प्रीव्यू, वी कैन क्लिक ऑन प्रीव्यू, एंड यू कैन नोटिस यहाँ पे ऐसे वाइट कलर चला गया प्रीव्यू के पीछे बैकग्राउंड में, और अभी मैंने क्लिक किया तो ये वाइट कलर आ गया. द मोमेंट आई क्लिक ऑन दिस अगेन इट डिसअपियर्स. एनीवे, व्हेन आई क्लिक ऑन console, it will also show me the test output, but we're not going to use the console because preview देख के समझ आ ही जाता है. console जब हमारा काम आएगा, when it tells us, we'll continue. This is what it came with and this is what we'll write. So HTML elements have opening tags like h1 and closing tags like h/h1, and slash के पहले ये दोनों symbols भी है. So what is this symbol called? Let's find out. What is this? Of course we also call it less than, greater than. So less than sign in, let's write in HTML. Guys, quick shortcut, आपको कीबोर्ड यूज़ करके अगर सर्च बार पे जाना है, when you press slash, and when you press slash you find out you go to the search bar और आपको जो भी टाइप करना है आप टाइप कर सकते हैं. So what is a slash in what is greater than in HTML? So what is this in HTML? I'll put double quotes so it's much clearer. What is this in HTML? So this is a website. It says w3schools.com. This is it's the standard. Anyone यहाँ पे हर एक चीज़ का एग्जाम्पल दिखाता है. सो इफ़ यू यूज़ लेस देन और ग्रेटर देन साइंस इन टेक्स्ट, द ब्राउजर माइट मिक्स देम विद टैग्स. सो वी यूज़ देम फॉर टैग्स टू डिस्प्ले लेस देन साइन ऑन वी कैन एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा. सो दिस इज़ नॉट व्हाट वी आर लुकिंग फॉर. आई विल गो बैक. हाउ डू यू इंक्लूड, what is the HTML entity for, let's Google what is called. So it's called, the name is a term, cry out, nope. What are symbols called? Technically these characters shapes are called glyphs. Next to each glyph name the Unicode and HTML are listed, as well as ASCII and HTML only entity if these are available. I don't think. Then chevron. So what is chevron? Is it chevron, a V-shaped line or stripe, especially one on the sleeve? Okay, I think it's best if we Google image search this. So I'll go to images.google.com and I'll write chevron. नाउ माइंड यू गाइज, जब मैंने यहाँ पे स्लैश बटन दबाया तो उसने वो मुझे सर्च बार पे नहीं ले गया unfortunately. So when we're looking for images, I cannot press slash to go to the search bar. Chevron symbol. So when I click on this, it says computer icons arrow symbol chevron. It's also called the chevron. Great. Again, right chevron. Okay. So I think that covers it. We can also call it chevron. Angle bracket भी बोल सकते हैं. So we can also call them angle brackets. Less than a symbol. Less than is a symbol found on all computer keyboards, commonly the same key as the comma. Yep, that is correct. Keyboard में comma की जगह पे मुझे left angle bracket दिख रहा है. Then less than symbol resembles an arrow pointing to the left, commonly used in math and computer programming, or is called one less than. Again यहाँ पे भी दिखा रहा है Quora website. It's called the chevron. What is the name of the symbols? Less than and greater than. So entries are unofficial the equal to entries are unofficial synonyms or common names, kind of like common names used instead of formal scientific genus. Anyway, typographical symbols and punctuation marks. Yes. यहाँ पे मैं सर्च करूँगा chevron. Is it chevron or chevron? Please mention in the comments, guys. So it is an alias. It's an alias, another word for angle bracket. Chevron पे right click करूँगा. I'll click on look up chevron. I'll click on it again. It didn't work. So all I'll do is I'll copy and write define chevron. In the meanwhile मैं ये tab बंद कर देता हूँ. इसका कुछ काम नहीं है. So let's play it for everyone.
Chevron.
It is chevron. Great. And I'll click on here. Click it here. So in British it's chevron. Anyway, so that's chevron. We call them chevron. So chevron H1 and closing tags like that. So this is what we call an opening tag H1. Notice there isn't a slash here, but there is a slash here. So this is what you call an opening tag, and this is what you call a closing tag. H1 मतलब header 1 की size. So now the text for an element goes between its opening and closing tags. तो मुझे जो भी लिखना है, जो भी मैं मुझे दिखाना है, so यहाँ पे जो hello world लिख रहा है वो मुझे दिखाना है और मुझे वो header size में दिखाना है. So I'll write anything I want to here. Now it says find the H1 element and change its text to cat photo app. So ये जो hello world है उसकी जगह मैं इसको change करूँगा. It doesn't say here step 1. In step 1 it doesn't say anywhere that I have to change hello world, but यहाँ पे लिखा है find the H1 element and change its text to. So यहाँ पे देख के मुझे दिख रहा है मुझे कि एक H1 element है, उस पर मैं change करूँगा. So the best way I think is I can just copy this text and I'll change it here. यहाँ पे जाऊँगा मैं, यहाँ पे मैं paste करूँगा cat photo app and good to go. Make sure guys there is no space here or here, and I'll click on check your code, control plus enter. So instead of clicking here I can also use my keyboard and press control plus enter. जैसे मैंने control plus enter किया, you can see here जैसे ही मैंने यहाँ पे text change किया यहाँ पे cat photo app दिखने लगा था. Let's say if I write ASP, so automatically यहाँ पे preview change होता रहेगा. So that's what the preview is for, so that you can see what you're doing और आप जो change कर रहे हो आपको immediately दिख रहा है. Anyway, moving on. यहाँ पे मैंने क्लिक किया और जब मेरा आंसर राइट होता है तो यहाँ पे यू कैन सी हियर ऑन द लेफ्ट यहाँ पे ग्रीन कलर का बार दिखाने लगेगा. सो दैट मीन्स दैट आई हैव फिनिश्ड द फर्स्ट स्टेप करेक्टली और finished any step correctly, and I can go to the next challenge. And like I said, it says here when I press control enter again वो मुझे automatically next step पे ले जाएगा. So with that is step 2. मैंने step 2 दबाया, great, ये खुल गया. Now step 2, the H1 through H6 heading elements are used to signify the importance of content below them. Okay, so H1 through H6 अलग अलग sizes हैं. So मुझे header की size रखनी है let's say H6, तो वो size पे दिखाएगा. The lower the number the higher the importance. मतलब अगर H1 है तो सबसे बड़ा दिखेगा, H6 है तो सबसे छोटा हेडर दिखेगा. but that will still be larger than a paragraph tag. और वो paragraph tag क्या होता है वो उस पर भी हम लोग आगे cover करेंगे. Moving on, so this is step 2. I'll just go full screen. Great. Yeah, यहाँ पे दिखा रहा है. I'll scroll a little bit, and the H1 through H6 heading elements are used to signify the importance of content below them. So again, I explained that heading elements are used to signify the importance of content below them. The lower the number, the higher the importance. So H2 elements have less importance than H1. Okay, so H1 is of the highest importance, then H2 is has less importance than H1, then H3 has less importance than H2, and so on and so forth. Only use H1 element per page and place lower importance headings below higher importance headings. So अगर मैं H1 यूज़ कर रहा हूँ तो फिर मैं सिर्फ एक यूज़ करूँगा. I will only use one H1 element per page. जब एक पेज में सिर्फ एक H1 element यूज़ करूँ, I should follow that and place lower importance headings below higher importance headings. So let's say ये H1 है, यहाँ पे मैं H2 लिख देता हूँ. Then I cannot write H1, or even if I write H1, I can write H1, but it won't look good design wise. आप एक hierarchy follow कर रहे हैं, H1 फिर H2 and then H3, तो वो देख के लोगों को एस्थेटिक ज़्यादा लगेगा. एंड मूविंग ऑन, आई जस्ट स्क्रॉल लिटिल बिट डाउन. सो ये देख के मुझे समझ आ रहा है कि पहले वो लोग समझाते कि हम लोग करने क्या वाले हैं या फिर क्या होती है चीज़ें, और फिर हमें बताता है कि तो आपको ये करना है. सो बिलो द H1 एलिमेंट एड एन H2 एलिमेंट विद दिस टेक्स्ट. सो बिलो द H1 एलिमेंट एड एन H2 एलिमेंट. सो यहाँ पे मुझे दिख रहा है कि यहाँ पे ये जो फोर्थ लाइन पे एम्प्टी स्पेस दिखा रहा है. So I'll click on this and I'll write H2 element. तो जैसे ही मैंने H1 element डाला, मैं H2 element डालूँगा. You can also copy the first line below above, or you can write it yourself. I'll write this myself. तो मेरी लिखने की थोड़ी हैबिट है. Now I'll write cat photos and notice guys, मैं यहाँ पे कोई स्पेस नहीं छोड़ रहा हूँ. अगर मैं स्पेस छोड़ूंगा तो आपको वो स्पेस दिख जाएगी. And let's say cat photos /H2 लिख दिया मैंने. Oh, sorry. So I have to make it H2 here. हाँ, okay. So H2 and H2 opening tag and H2 closing tag. यहाँ से मैं स्पेस हटा दूँगा. Now that I think it matters to keep only the space you need. जैसे यहाँ पे cat photos है तो यहाँ पे स्पेस डालना बनता है. But after this it doesn't make sense to put any space, so I will leave this. जो लिखा है वही मैं copy और paste करूँगा. So I can write it or I can copy paste it. If you look here, यहाँ पे cat के पीछे या फिर s के बाद कोई space नहीं है. So this is what we are supposed to write. अगर मैं यहाँ पे लिखता हूँ space और फिर मैं check your code दबाता हूँ तो क्या होता है आपको दिखाता हूँ. When I press Ctrl Enter, it will still allow me to submit and go to the next challenge, because more or less I finished the task, but I would prefer it if you guys not do it. यहाँ पे मैंने space हटा दिए और जो लिखा है वही मैंने follow किया. So H1, H2, and I'll go to the next challenge. Now on to step 3, the P element. If you notice here, by the way, I'll just like to draw your attention here. This is the index.html file, और इस HTML फाइल के अंदर ये सब हम एडिट कर रहे हैं, और ये सब जो भी एडिट कर रहे हैं वो सब हमें यहाँ पे प्रीव्यू में दिख रहा है. सो मूविंग ऑन, नाउ दैट वी एडेड H2, वो फोर्थ लाइन जो हमने ऐड की स्टेप 2 में, अभी हम लोग स्टेप 3 पे जाएंगे और कुछ यहाँ पे खाली दिखा रहा है. सो आई थिंक वी हैव टू डू समथिंग विथ द फिफ्थ लाइन. सो आई रीड द थर्ड स्टेप. द P element is used to create a paragraph of text on websites. भाई मुझे पैराग्राफ, कोई भी जो टेक्स्ट मैंने लिखा है उसका पैराग्राफ दिखाना हो, उसको पैराग्राफ जैसे दिखाना हो, तो मैं P एलिमेंट का यूज़ करूँगा. नोटिस गाइज, दीज आर एलिमेंट्स. इन सबको एलिमेंट्स बोलते हैं, इसको भी एलिमेंट्स बोलते हैं. बॉडी टैग, HTML, H1 एलिमेंट, P एलिमेंट, H एलिमेंट, H1, H2, H3, H6, etc. So P is an element and create a P element below your H2 element. So इसमें इन्होंने स्टेप्स दिखाई दिए, बताई दिए, समझा दिए, and we have to follow them. So create a P element. So when we see an element, इन दोनों पी के बीच में ये दोनों शेवरन दिखेंगे. So I'll go here, I'll click on this, I'll write P/P, sorry, not slash, P and chevron, and I will copy this. अभी मुझे वो closing tag भी डालना है. So what I'll do is, अगर मुझे पूरा लिखना नहीं है, so I'll copy this P tag, यहाँ पे मैं पेस्ट कर दूँगा और मैं यहाँ पे स्लैश डालूँगा, तो मेरे ओपनिंग और क्लोजिंग टैग हो गए. नाउ यहाँ पे लिखा है and give it the following text. So one thing you can do is you can copy this text and you can copy is मैंने कमांड C प्रेस करके मैं यहाँ पे पेस्ट कर दिया, और you can write it yourself. So see more cat photos etc etc. Anyway, I've copied the text, so मैं यहाँ पे पेस्ट कर दूँगा. So that way कोई एरर्स आने के चांसेस नहीं है. So वो मैंने कॉपी यहाँ पे पेस्ट कर दिया है, you can see that. और मैंने P एलिमेंट यूज़ किया है, also known as paragraph element. H is header element of course, and body is body. Body is called body. And let's see if our code works. Amazing, हो गया. So that worked, and it says test, congratulations, your code passes, submit your code to continue. So we have to click on it twice, this button. Before it was check, and now that we are correct, check your code. Now that we are correct, it allows us to submit and go to the next challenge. Great. And this is the donate. Of course, this is a public, well, it's a fund. So just like Wikipedia, अगर हम लोग donate करेंगे, well, it will support the math developers for curriculum. ज़्यादा पढ़ा पाएंगे, या फिर वो लोग ज़्यादा स्पेंड कर पाएंगे लोगों को पढ़ाने में, समझाने में. Anyway, you can click on that, ask me later, you can review that later. Now we go to step 4. Commenting allows you to leave messages without affecting the browser display. Oh, तो अगर मैं comment डालता हूँ तो कोई भी वेबसाइट में जो ओपन करते हैं वो उनको नहीं दिखेगा, बट जो कोड एडिट कर रहा है उनको वो कमेंट दिखेगा. दैट्स अमेजिंग. सो कोई भी एडिटर हो, वो जो भी एडिट कर रहा है उनको दिख रहा है कि ये क्या है. जैसे मुझे डालना है, किसी को समझ नहीं आ रहा है, कोई नया है और मुझे समझाना है कि ये कैट फ़ोटोज़ मैंने कैसे डाला है, तो मैं कमेंट्स यूज़ करके वो लिख सकता हूँ मुझे जो भी लिखना है. सो व्हाट डज इट से? कमेंटिंग अलाउज यू टू लीव मैसेजेस विदाउट अफेक्टिंग द ब्राउज़र डिस्प्ले. It also allows you to make code inactive. Okay, so मुझे let's say ये H1 H2 को edit करना है और मुझे वो वेबसाइट पे नहीं दिखाना है. So what I can simply do is मैं इतना कॉपी करूँगा बिगिनिंग में. So I'll click on that. You know what? Let's try changing this, commenting this. Give me a second, please. Yes. So see more cat photos, and okay, let's continue. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, so HTML starts with what, this sign, less than sign, an exclamation mark and 2 hyphens. Okay, so so contains any number of lines of text and ends with this. सो इन दोनों के बीच में हम जो भी लिखेंगे वो कमेंट हो जाएगा, वो वेबसाइट पे नहीं दिखेगा. और जो भी वेबसाइट को एडिट कर रहा है, जो ये index.html पेज को एडिट कर रहा है या डॉक्यूमेंट को एडिट कर रहा है, उनको ये पढ़ने मिलेगा. दिस इज़ वेरी यूजफुल सो दैट वी कैन शो पीपल और शो एनी अदर कोडर्स वट एवर दे लुकिंग एट. उनको समझ आएगा कि ये चल क्या रहा है, क्या एडिट किया, या फिर कुछ इसको टच नहीं करना है, एट्सेट्रा एट्सेट्रा. So contains any number of lines of text and ends with this. For example, the comment this to do remove h1 contains the text to do remove h1. To do मतलब जो करना, जो हमारा टास्क है ये करना है. So add a comment above the p element with this text. Okay. So यहाँ पे लिखा है above the p element. So this is the p element of course. और इसके ऊपर मैं डालूँगा comment. So what I'll do is I'll open this. Then I'll press exclamation bar और मैं ये 2 डाल दूँगा. ग्रेट. जैसे ही मैंने डाला, अभी मैंने वो एंडिंग वाला टैग नहीं डाला है, और what we call this, and I'll copy this and I'll paste it here. The moment I paste this here, तो इसके अंदर जो भी है वो कमेंट बन जाएगा. जो भी मैं लिखूँगा, the moment I write this, यहाँ पे कुछ चेंज नहीं हो रहा है. बट यू कैन स्टिल सी मोर कैट फोटोज़ इन अ गैलरी, और उसके बीच में कुछ टेक्स्ट डाला तो वो आपको दिख नहीं रहा है. सो व्हाट आई डू इज़, फॉर एग्जांपल यहाँ पे लिखा है ऐड अ कमेंट अबव द पी एलिमेंट विद दिस टेक्स्ट. तो ये मैंने डाल दिया. अभी इन दोनों के बीच में क्या डालना है वो हम देखेंगे. सो यहाँ पे हाईलाइट किया हुआ है, एक बॉक्स के अंदर यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है आई विल कॉपी दिस, प्रेस कमांड सी एंड मैं यहाँ पे गया ऑन द 5th लाइन एंड आई विल पेस्ट द टेक्स्ट. यहाँ पे दिखा रहा है और ये हमने कमेंट डाल दिया है टू डू ऐड लिंक टू कैट फोटोज़. तो ये हमारा टास्क है एंड वी एडेड दैट टास्क एंड लेट्स सी if our code works. Let's see, I'll press control plus enter. So control key, ctrl key and enter. यहाँ पे green line आ गई. So that means we're good to go and let's click on submit. Great. Now we are on step 5. Now they're saying HTML5 has some elements that identify different content areas. These elements make your HTML easier to read and help with search engine optimization and accessibility. So HTML5 guys, थोड़ा information दे देता हूँ. HTML के 5 वर्जन्स आ चुके हैं. पहला वर्जन कैसे काम करता था, दूसरा वर्जन कैसे काम करता है, you can take a look. I will also show you what HTML5 is. But धीरे धीरे HTML के अलग अलग फीचर्स आने लगे. पहले HTML1 में शायद इमेजेस नहीं दिखते होंगे, HTML2 में उन्होंने इमेजेस डालना शुरू कर दिया. सो डिफरेंट टैग्स, नए टैग्स आने लगे विच आई थिंक विल कवर इन द नेक्स्ट स्टेप्स इन द फ्यूचर. एंड HTML5 has some elements that identify different content areas. So HTML5 वर्जन 5 में कुछ एलिमेंट्स हैं जो कंटेंट के एरियाज़ को आइडेंटिफाई करता है. लेट्स से आई वांट टू कॉल दिस एरिया, जो ये हेडर है कैट फोटोज़ है, सी मोर कैट फोटोज़, इतने एरिया को मुझे नाम दे देना. लेट्स से फॉर एग्जांपल टाइटल. तो अगर मुझे टाइटल डालना है तो देन आई कैन यूज़ सम ऑफ दीज एलिमेंट्स टू आइडेंटिफाई कंटेंट, डिफरेंट कंटेंट एरियाज. मतलब इसका नाम मैं दे सकता हूँ. एंड दीज एलिमेंट्स विल हेल्प वेल HTML पढ़ने में ईजी पड़ेगा. कोई और HTML को रीड कर रहा है तो उनको ज़्यादा ईजिली समझ आएगा. एंड वो सर्च इंजन ऑप्टिमाइजेशन में भी हेल्प करता है. सो सर्च इंजन ऑप्टिमाइजेशन क्या होता है? सो लेट्स राइट डिफाइन SEO. Right, SEO, it's a short for search engine optimization. What is search engine optimization? So यहाँ पे दिखा रहा है, I'll just click on that. So the process of maximizing the number of visitors to a particular website by ensuring that the site appears high on the list of results returned by a search engine. So basically मेरी वेबसाइट और से और लोग विज़िट करें, उसके लिए मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ? So the process of maximizing the number of visitors to a particular website by ensuring that the site appears high on the list of results. So मैं यहाँ पे से सर्च करूँ और मैं यहाँ पे लिखूँ कैट फोटो ऐप, तो सबसे पहले मुझे freeCodeCamp.com दिखाएगा. So ये एक SEO optimized website है. That's why this is on the first result. और ये सबसे ज़्यादा विजिटर्स भी ले चुकी है. सबसे ज़्यादा विजिटर्स इस वेबसाइट को विज़िट करते हैं जब भी हम लोग सर्च करते हैं कैट फोटो ऐप, तो उसके रैंक में ये सबसे पहला दिखाता है. देन दिस इज़ CodePen's freeCodeCamp कैट फोटो ऐप. यू कैन सी हियर, यहाँ पे भी freeCodeCamp का नाम मेंशन हो ही गया है. एंड द नंबर ऑफ विजिटर्स टू अ पर्टिकुलर वेबसाइट. सो पर्टिकुलर वेबसाइट is this, let's say for example freecatphotoapp.com, and particular website by ensuring that the site appears high on the list of results returned by search engine. So मैंने cat photo app सर्च किया और टॉप पे मुझे ये वेबसाइट दिखा रहा है. उसके लिए मैं जो भी स्टेप्स लेता हूँ that's includes SEO. So you can also, of course, you can Google and you can understand for yourself SEO, what SEO means. But यहाँ पे दिखा रहा है noun meaning and it's related to computing, and this is the only meaning it says. Show less, that means that it's the only information that it's showing. Anyway, different websites, आपको बहुत सारी websites मिलेंगी. Optimizely, Wikipedia, SEMrush, what is SEO, what is search engine optimization, SEO, whatever, what is SEO, search engine optimization, etc. तो ये आप दूसरी वेबसाइट्स को भी विजिट कर सकते हैं. आपका और डेफिनेशंस आपको चाहिए आप समझ सकते हैं. बट दिस इज़ व्हाट इट मीन्स. वी हैव Oxford languages meaning, and I think we're good to go. So this is what SEO means. And then these elements make your HTML easier to read. तो जो भी एडिट कर रहा है कोड को उनको समझ आ जाएगा कि ये बंदे ने कैसे ऑर्गेनाइज किया है. हेल्प विथ सर्च इंजन ऑप्टिमाइजेशन एंड एक्सेसिबिलिटी. सो हम लोग मेंशन करते हैं कि भाई हम लोग किसके बारे में हमने ये टॉपिक्स रखे हैं. ये जो कंटेंट है वेबसाइट में, ये एरिया का नाम ये है. तो जो भी सर्च इंजन्स है, फॉर एग्जांपल गूगल और डकडकगो और बिंग, ये सब वेबसाइट्स ये सब सर्च इंजन इन सारी वेबसाइट्स को इंडेक्स करती है. तो जो ज़्यादा SEO वाली वेबसाइट होगी वो ज़्यादा क्लियरली दिखेगी. नाउ I'm sorry about that, what happened. These elements make your HTML easier to read and help with search engine and accessibility. Identify the main section of this page by adding a main opening tag before the H1 element and the main closing tag after the P element. So let's go through this one by one. Identify the main section of this page by adding a main opening tag. So यहाँ पे लिखा है मुझे एक main opening tag डालना है. So I'll copy this. I can also write it myself. And I think this is the main cat photo app. This is the title, cat photos. That's the second title. And यहाँ पे paragraph tag दिखा रहा है, text दिखा रहा है, see more cat photos in a gallery. So let's give this the name main title. यहाँ पे मैंने copy करके रखा था वो tag को. And I'll paste it here. आ गया. If you notice closely, if you keep your eye here, the moment I remove this, ये preview तो refresh होगा. So that tells me every time I change something in the text, in the code, it will change it. The preview will refresh itself. Anyway, moving on. Opening tag before the H1 element. So इसने बता ही दिया कि before the H1 element डालना है. So H1 element के पहले यहाँ पे third line उन्होंने हमारे लिए empty रखी है. So I'll paste that. Then I'll go to tag before the H1 element and slash main closing tag. So ये closing tag है. Closing tag क्यों है? क्योंकि यहाँ पे slash है. So that's how we can identify what an opening tag is and what a closing tag is. Closing tag after the P element. So यहाँ पे दिखा रहा है P element. So P element end होता है. Again उन्होंने हमारे लिए 8th line. So freeCodeCamp ने हमारे लिए 8th line empty रखी है so that we can paste that here. Paste or write, whichever you prefer. So I'll paste it. यहाँ पे हो गया. And yep, I think that's good. Let's check whether what we've done is correct. So I'll press Control Enter, and it gives me the green light. So I'm good to go. And I'll press Control Enter again so that I can go to the next step. Now I am on the 6th step, and wait a second. Yes, I'm on the 6th step. और यहाँ पे 6th step पे दिखा रहा है in the previous step you put the H1, H2 comment and P elements inside the main element. Yes, that's what we did. So H1, H2 comment and P elements. So हमने H1 डाला, this is the डाला, और we added the H1 element. This is H1, this is H2. Then we also added a comment which we can't see here, but I think we can see here. This is the text. Then I go to P. So मैंने P elements भी डाला. This is the P element, and this is not the P element. This is the content inside the P element, and in all of these inside the main element. So again guys, मैं आपको समझा देता हूँ. इसको element बोलते हैं जिन दोनों के बीच में ये symbols होते हैं. And guys, please mention in the comments ये symbols का नाम क्या है. I would appreciate it very much. Now let's go to see more cat photos in a gallery. ये भी हमने डाल दिया. So let's read what they're saying. This is called nesting. So हमने ये जो किया, nest किया. So what I did is हमने जो ये main tag है, main tag, उसके अंदर हमने ये सारे एलिमेंट्स को नेस्ट किया. Nest, what is nesting? So I'll just Google it. I'll also look at a few pictures to give myself an idea of what nesting means. So define nesting. So nesting, able to be placed stored inside one inside the other. Then we have, this is adjective. If you notice here, I'll scroll up a little. This is called nesting. So let's read verb. What does it say? Use or build a nest inside fit inside a larger one, fit inside one another. So I think we're fitting this inside, well, main. So हमने ये सब text को इसके अंदर nest कर दिया main के अंदर. This is all part of the main element now. All the tags and all the elements inside the tag, or the text inside the tag, it's all a part of the main element. Now मैं करूँगा use the space bar on your keyboard to add 2 more spaces in front of. Wait a second, थोड़ा और ऊपर जाते हैं. I think this is where we were. Yes, nested elements should be placed 2 spaces further to the right of the element they are nested in. So ये थोड़ा इन्फॉर्मेशन दिखा रहे हैं. ये प्रैक्टिस हम क्या फॉलो करते हैं उसका मतलब दिखा रहे हैं. So nested elements should be placed 2 spaces further. 2 spaces further यहाँ पे दिखा रहा है. ये तो 4 spaces दिखा रहा है. So what are they talking about? Maybe I'm not getting this right. So I'll click on nested element should be placed 2 spaces further to the right of the element they are nested in. So I think this is what they're talking about. So nested elements के अंदर जो भी elements है वो 2 spaces के बाद दिखने चाहिए. ये क्यों important है? क्योंकि अगर मैं इसको यहाँ पे ले लेता हूँ, then h1 tag is not a part of main element. That's how it works. I can also press tab, or I can also press double space. It will give me the same effect. Tab दबाने से 2 spaces आती है. Space अगर आपको 2 बार क्लिक नहीं press नहीं करना, then you can use that. Now moving on, nested elements should be placed 2 spaces further to the right of the element they are nested in. Okay, तो ये जो भी nested elements है, so let's call this a nest. Main is a nest. So उसके अंदर जो भी elements है वो सब मुझे समझाना है, या फिर मुझे किसी को भी समझाना है कि ये सारे elements हैं जो h1 है, h2 है, ये comment है, ये p tag है, ये सब main के अंदर है. तो मुझे 2 spaces डालने पड़ेंगे. Then it will be a part of this nest. Now so for this paragraph tag मैं यहाँ पे एक tag दबा दूँगा. I'll press tab button, और जैसे मैंने टैब दबाया you can notice here यहाँ पे 2 spaces दिखा रहा है. If you notice here यहाँ पे एक सर्कल दिखा रहा है, यहाँ पे दूसरा सर्कल दिखा रहा है. So that's how I can understand ये यहाँ पे 2 spaces है. And of course जब मैंने shift, oh I'm sorry, yes मैंने एंटर गलती से दबा दिया. Shift left दबाता हूँ 2 बार. So that's how I can also understand. Anyway, scroll up. And this is called nesting. Nested elements should be placed 2 spaces further to the right of the element they are nested in. So इसके 2 spaces right होने चाहिए, which they are, and they are nested in. This spacing is called indentation. So what I did is called indentation, or what they follow is called indentation, and it is used to make HTML easier to read. So like I said, पढ़ने में समझने में easy पड़ेगा if we put a few spaces here, or exactly 2 spaces here. तो हमें समझ आएगा कि ये जो h1 एलिमेंट है, h2 एलिमेंट है, ये सब मेन के अंदर है, या फिर किसी और के भी अंदर है. There could be another element that's a part of this element. Anyway, moving on, I'll scroll up a little. The h1 element, the h2 element and the comment are indented 2 spaces more than the main element in the code below. So what if I say indentation? Indentation मतलब यही नहीं कि सिर्फ 2 spaces डालिए. यहाँ से जितने भी spaces है, let's say एक spaces है, then you'd call it indentation. That spacing is called indentation. So let's say if I think this is the line, this is the margin, तो फिर ये margin के basis पे यहाँ पे हमने 2 spaces डाली है. अगर एक space, the fact the h1 element, h2 element and the comment are indented 2 spaces more than the main element in the code below. So needed 2 spaces more than the main element in the code below. Yep, that's true. Use the space bar on your keyboard to add 2 more spaces in front of the P element so that it is indented properly as well. So I think जब मैं समझा रहा था तब मैंने यहाँ से वो 2 spaces डाल दिए थे. So this is what it was like before. और जैसे मैंने space bar को 2 बार press किया, so यहाँ पे हो गया. And this is what they wanted it to look like, indented. So it becomes an indented property, this tag, this element. And another shortcut is, like I said, tab button. So मैं tab दबाऊंगा. When I press on tab button, it will also give me the same effect as pressing the space button twice. So control enter to check. I'll press control enter to check whether what I've done is correct, and that is correct. Great. And I'll go to the next challenge now. Great. Now I'm on step 7. You can add images to your website using the image element. Image elements have an opening tag without a closing tag. Great. So ये नया information है. This, guys, is new information. There are a few tags that have an opening tag and they have a closing tag. And like we can read here, you can add images to your website using the image element, and they have an opening tag without a closing tag. उसका मतलब मुझे closing tag add नहीं करना पड़ेगा image को दिखाने के लिए. That's good. A tag for an element without a closing tag is known as a self-closing tag. What do you mean? What do you mean it's a self-closing tag? And guys, just give me a second. Why don't you listen to the music for a few seconds, and I'll check whether you can see the live chat. Great. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Let's continue with the cat photo app. And perfect. आई होप हमारे व्यूअर्स को मज़ा आ रहा है. आप कोई भी कुछ सवाल हो तो प्लीज़ मेंशन करना कमेंट्स में. एंड लेट्स कंटिन्यू. सो यू कैन ऐड इमेजेस टू योर वेबसाइट बाय यूजिंग द इमेज एलिमेंट. सो हम लोग इमेज एलिमेंट की बात कर रहे थे. क्विक रिकैप, हम लोग HTML पे फ्री कोड कैम्प पे हम लोग HTML लर्न कर रहे हैं. एंड what this is, so we go to step 7. You can add images to your website by using the image element. Yes, we came across that and we read that image elements have an opening tag without a closing tag. So that's new information. Like I said, image elements have an opening tag but they don't have a closing tag. A tag for an element without a closing tag is known as a self-closing tag. Wow. So this is what you call a self-closing tag. So self-closing tag में image tag आता है. I'm sure there will be a lot more in the next steps, and that's a great beginning. So why don't I just note this down in my notes. So I'll click on notes, I'll open my notes and I'll write, give me a second please, I'll add the note. What are, so I'll write self closing tags. अब तक हमने ये लर्न किया, सेल्फ क्लोजिंग टैग्स, देन पी टैग, देन हेडर टैग, देन वी ऑल्सो लर्नड कमेंट्स, हाउ टू ऐड कमेंट्स. प्लीज़ बताइए गाइज, मेंशन करिए कमेंट्स में आप कमेंट कैसे डालते हैं HTML कोड में. सो वी लर्नड दिस कमेंट, 2 स्पेसेस, 2 lines. And what is this? I'll add another hyphen. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, this is what we use. Great. So 4 comments डाल दिए हमने, h1 h2, so header tags h1 to h6 use किए. We didn't use it, but now we know that we can use that for sizes. We use the paragraph tag, and we will learn what a self closing tag is and how they work. Basically समझ आ गया. अगर हम लोग उसमें self closing tag मतलब उसमें closing tag ना डाले तो भी वो चलता है. So moving on, I'll just minimize this. Just a second please. Thank you. So where were we? On to step 7. You can add images to your website by using image element. ये सब read कर दिया. A tag for an element without closing tag. Yes, great. So we're going to add an image element. You know what? I'm going to write this down so that I understand. थोड़ी practice है मेरी. So img bracket. Also guys, please mention in the comments what do you call this sign other than greater than and smaller than. इनको क्या बोलते हैं? हमने वीडियो के बिगिनिंग में ही आपको दिखाया था. And let's write image. Add an image element below the p element. So p element के नीचे यहाँ पे मुझे 8th line empty दिख रही थी. यहाँ पे मैंने image element को डाला था. Press command Z. So that's where I am. At this point no image will show up in the browser. Yes. So सिर्फ इतना डाल के मुझे चेक करना चाहिए. Let's see. I'll press Control Enter to check my code. Great. Perfect. यहाँ पे green में भी मुझे दिखा रहा है that it's correct and I have not made any mistake, and it also says congratulations, your code passes, submit your code. So I'll press Control and Enter again. अरे वाह, great. So now I'm on step 8. HTML attributes are special words used inside the opening tag of an element to control the element's behavior. Oh, that's a new word, attributes. What are attributes? So let's double click and press right click, and well, I click the left button twice, and then so guys एक shortcut है, आपको कोई word को select करना है, so you click on it twice and that word gets selected. And मैंने right click किया and I click on lookup. This is a feature only by Mac OS. Attribute verb. So it's a verb, HTML attributes, but we are talking about nouns. So let's see. Let's go to the noun meaning and let's read the first meaning. A quality or feature regarded as a characteristic or inherent part of someone or something. Okay. So ये उसकी qualities है या फिर उसके inherent parts है, मतलब उसकी qualities है. I think a quality or feature of as a characteristic or inherent part of someone or something. So it's a quality of something, of someone, a feature of someone or something, an inherent part of someone or something. So let's go and let's read the next meaning. Computing a piece of information which determines the properties of a field or tag in a database or a string of characters in a display. Oh. So a piece of information which determines, okay, एक piece of information जो बताता है हमें the properties of a field or tag in a database. So the properties of a field or tag in a database. So attributes. So if you think about it, this is what I would call a tag, and this is what I would call an attribute. Great. And they've also given us an example. So a piece of information, a field or tag in a database or a string of characters in a display. So I would call this a string of characters. Great. And so HTML attributes are special words used inside the opening tag of an element. Used inside of an opening tag. So जो भी हम लोग attributes use करते हैं वो हम closing tag में use नहीं करते, हम opening tag में use करते हैं. So you can look at the example here. This is the opening tag, and opening tag के अंदर image, src, also source, http cd and freeCodeCamp is the link. And when I scroll here, double quotes, and it ends here. So let's continue reading this. HTML attributes are special words used inside the opening tag of an element to control the element's behavior. सो ये कैसे बिहेव करेगा, क्या दिखाना चाहिए, वो सब हमें दिखाएगा. सो आई विल टेक दिस एग्जांपल अगेन. दिस साइज इमेज सोर्स इक्वल्स टू. तो मैंने टैग डाल दिया, मुझे इमेज दिखाना है, लेकिन कौन सा इमेज दिखाना है, क्या इमेज दिखाना है, वो कहाँ से लाएंगे. सो विल यूज़ सोर्स and that's how it will control the elements behavior. So I'll show the source. So I'll read further. The src attribute in an image element specifies the image's URL where the image is located. So image की URL क्या होती है, और वो image की URL मतलब उसका सोर्स कहाँ है, वो इमेज है कहाँ इंटरनेट पे, उसकी लिंक कहाँ, उसकी लिंक क्या है, उससे हमें पता चलता है. सो इमेज की URL. सो लेट्स से फॉर एग्जांपल मैं कोई भी इमेज लेता हूँ. लेट्स टेक अ कैट पिक्चर एंड आई थिंक वी केम अक्रॉस अ सिचुएशन लाइक दिस येस्टरडे. हम लोग जब वीड का यूज़ करके आपको दिखा रहे थे कि इमेज क्या होता है, उसकी लिंक क्या होती है. सो दिस इज़ व्हाट यू कॉल. तो मैंने जैसे ही ओपन इमेज इन न्यू टैब किया, आई एम सो सॉरी, येस. सो यहाँ पे मुझे इमेज की लिंक दिखा रहा है. आई कैन कॉपी दिस लिंक एंड आई कैन ओपन एन इनकॉग्निटो टैब, और यहाँ पे मैं ओपन करूँगा तो भी वो लिंक खुलती है. आई कैन यूज़ दिस लिंक एनीवेयर. मुझे मेरे HTML कोड में यूज़ करना है तो भी मैं यूज़ कर सकता हूँ. सो व्हाट आई विल डू इज़ आई विल क्लोज दिस. ग्रेट. नाउ आई विल गो बैक, गो टू HTML, yes, freeCodeCamp again. यहाँ पे लेट्स ट्राई दिस. सो इंस्टेड ऑफ कॉपिंग दिस link, I'll introduce my link. So let's say image src equals to double inverted commas and paste. जैसे मैंने पेस्ट कर दिया, you can see here ये थोड़ा zoomed in है क्योंकि इमेज की साइज़ थोड़ी ज़्यादा है, and you can see here that I can see the image. So I'll go back and I'll press backspace. Great. हाँ. Now let's go scroll up and read what they're talking about. So images URL. So this is what a URL is. We can also look at this. This is also a URL, Uniform Resource Locator. इसको मैं कॉपी करके यहाँ पे पेस्ट करूँ तो मुझे सिंपली वो इमेज दिखा देगा कैट का. ग्रेट. सो यही लिंक को हम लोग यूज़ करके हमारी वेबसाइट पे कैट का इमेज दिखाएंगे. सो लेट्स कंटिन्यू. द src source attribute in an image element specifies the image's URL where the image is located. Here is an example of an image element with a source attribute pointing to freeCodeCamp logo. Okay, so ये एक example दिखा रहा है image source, and you can see here is an example of an image element with a source attribute pointing to the freeCodeCamp logo. So let's say अगर मैं सिर्फ ये लिंक को लेता हूँ, let's say इतना मैंने सिलेक्ट किया, मैंने पूरी लिंक सिलेक्ट नहीं की, and then I scroll to the right and then I press shift and click at the end before the double inverted commas, तो ये पूरा टेक्स्ट सिलेक्ट हो जाएगा. अमेजिंग. सो ये मैंने कॉपी कर दिया and I'll paste it in a new tab and I'll show you this is what it looks like. So that's the logo. और उन्होंने मुझे एग्जांपल दिखाया. सो ये तो लिंक है, बट अगर मुझे कोड में दिखानी हो, मुझे मेरे HTML पेज में दिखानी है, तो ये लिंक को मैं कैसे प्रेजेंट करूँगा. तो मैं डबल इन्वर्टेड कॉमास या फिर डबल कोट्स यूज़ करूँगा और वो डबल कोट्स के अंदर इस लिंक को सोर्स करूँगा. एंड आई राइट सोर्स इक्वल्स टू, मतलब इमेज का सोर्स ये है. एंड गाइस, व्हाई इज़ इट इम्पॉर्टेंट टू पुट डबल कोट्स? तो डबल कोट्स के अंदर जो भी होता है उसको टेक्स्ट माना जाता है, आई वुड से, एंड उन सबको टेक्स्ट माना जाता है. और वो अगर लेट्स से कोई कमांड में लिख रहा हूँ तो वो कमांड नहीं दिखेगा, वो मुझे टेक्स्ट की तरह दिखेगा. मैं आपको थोड़ा एग्जांपल दे देता हूँ. इमेज सोर्स की जगह मैं लिखता हूँ p टैग के अंदर, जस्ट क्रिएट अ न्यू p टैग, और इसके अंदर मैं लिखूँगा डबल कोट्स के अंदर /p एंड p. क्या दिखेगा? वो दैट्स गुड. So I think I need to learn more before I play with this. Let's just follow the steps for now. So here is an example of an image element with a source attribute pointing to freeCodeCamp logo. That is true. ये हमने वेबसाइट ये URL को ओपन करके भी देखा. Now it says inside the existing image element. So यहाँ पे मैं Ctrl+Z दबा के I'll go back to what it was like before. This is what it looked like before. यहाँ पे मैं जाऊँगा, यहाँ पे मैं एक सोर्स एट्रीब्यूट ऐड करूँगा, दैट्स एन एट्रीब्यूट अ क्वालिटी ऑफ दैट टैग इक्वल्स टू डबल कोट्स. इफ यू नोटिस हियर दैट्स वेरी ग्रेट, दैट्स ग्रेट डिज़ाइन. यहाँ पे मैंने सिर्फ एक बार डबल कोट्स डाले बट उसने मुझे 2 कोट्स दिखा दिए. वो समझ गया कि मुझे एक्चुअली एंड में भी एक कोट डालना ही पड़ेगा, एंड में भी डबल कोट्स डालने ही पड़ेंगे. सो उन्होंने वैसे ही फॉर्मेट सेट किया है. बट इफ़ यू गाइज आर यूजिंग सम अदर सॉफ्टवेयर, इफ़ यू आर यूजिंग सम कोड एडिटर, देन यू माइट नीड टू ऐड दोज कोड्स. बट एनीवे, जो भी आप लिंक डाल रहे हैं वो इन दोनों कोड्स के बीच में होने चाहिए. ग्रेट. अभी मैं इस लिंक को कॉपी कर देता हूँ, https://cdn.freecodecamp.org. If you look here, this is also freecodecamp.org, but this is Learn 2022 Responsive Web Design, and this is Curriculum Cat Photo App Relaxing Cat.jpg. So these are 2 different links. यहाँ पे मैं पेस्ट करूँगा. ग्रेट. और जैसे ही मैंने पेस्ट कर दिया, यहाँ पे मुझे कैट का इमेज दिखाने लगा. ग्रेट. सो नाउ आई विल चेक whether what I've done is correct or not, या फिर कुछ गलती की है, कुछ स्पेस डाल दिए या नहीं. प्रेस कंट्रोल एंड एंटर. Great. Submit and go to next challenge. Wow. So test, congratulations, your code passes. Thank you. And let's go to the next one. Step 9. All image elements should have an alt attribute. What is an alt attribute? So the alt attribute's text is used for screen readers to improve accessibility and is displayed if the image fails to load. So let's say ये image आपका इंटरनेट स्लो है, और इंटरनेट स्लो है तो ये इमेज लोड नहीं हुआ. इमेज लोड होने की जगह कुछ और दिख रहा है, वो कटा हुआ इमेज का दिख रहा है, या फिर इट डजंट शो एनीथिंग इंस्टेड ऑफ द इमेज. सो व्हाट वी वांट टू डू इज़ वी वांट टू शो पीपल दैट you know what, there is this is an image of a cat lying on its back, and that's what we use the alt attribute for. Let's find out what alt means. I'll go to Google and I'll press alt meaning in HTML. Great. So it says the alt attribute. Again, please check, this is an official source. I'm sorry, wait, I pressed the wrong button. So this is an official source, W3 Schools, www World Wide Web, W3 Schools, and we can use this. And what does it say? So the alt attribute specifies an alternate text for an area. So alt means alternate, and the alt attribute specifies an alternate text for an area if the image cannot be displayed. Great. So जो हम लोग समझ रहे थे वही है इसका मीनिंग. The alt, and let's read a little bit more further. The alt attributes provides alternative information for an image if the user for some reason cannot view it. So one reason could be उनका इंटरनेट स्लो चल रहा है, some other reason शायद वेबसाइट लोड होने में कोई तकलीफ हो गई. It could be anything, but like it says, because of slow connection, an error in the source attribute, or if the user uses a screen reader. Yeah, uses a screen reader. What is a screen reader? So I'll quickly show you what a screen reader looks like. Screen reader is also a software, but I'll just go to Google and I'll go to images. So मेरी स्क्रीन पे क्या दिख रहा है उसका मतलब वो मुझे दिखाएगा. And this is of course people who are blind, उनको वेबसाइट पे क्या दिख रहा है वो दिखाने के लिए भी यूज़ होता है स्क्रीन रीडर. You can look here, that's a button, so that they're referring to that. Let's say if someone is blind, तो उनको वेबसाइट वॉइस से या ऑडियो से भी समझाएंगे. या फिर you can look here, you can also use braille to understand what it looks like, what the website is saying. Anyway, यहाँ पे जाऊँगा मैं, I'll close these tabs, I don't need these tabs, and let's continue. So I'll use the alternative attribute. The alt attribute's text is used for screen readers to improve accessibility and is displayed if the image fails to load. Yep, image fails to load. For example, image, example दिखा रहे एक image tag का, image source cat.jpg, and the alternative text is a cat. So अगर ये image load नहीं होता है तो ये लोग alt में दिखाते हैं a cat has an alt attribute with the text a cat. Yep, it's in double quotes again. So जो double quotes के अंदर जो लिखा है वो दिखेगा alt में, उसके आसपास या उसके बाहर का नहीं दिखाएगा. That's how HTML understands क्या हमें text के अंदर दिखाना है. सॉरी, क्या हमें वेबसाइट के अंदर दिखाना है और क्या हमें वेबसाइट के बाहर दिखाना है. सो alt a cat has an alt attribute with the text cat. And you know what, just a second guys, I'll check in YouTube whether you have any comments for me. So guys, oh, let's look at that. So I have two comments from well, I have two comments from two different people. One is Hiteshwara, Kemcho Papa. Thank you so much. And Yogin sir, thank you so much for your comment. And I can see there are two concurrent viewers. Thank you so much my viewers. आपको कोई भी क्वेश्चन आता है, कुछ भी नहीं समझ आता है, and if you have any other sources I can learn free code HTML from, so you can mention those. Let's continue with step 9. So what does it say? I'll just scroll a little. Yes, so step 9, alt attribute. It gave us an example what an alt attribute is, alternative. So for example, this image tag has an alt attribute with the text a cat. That is true. Alt equals to quotes a cat. Yep. And let's go to the next para. Inside the image element, add an alt attribute with this text. So यहाँ पे inside the image element, अभी आपको धीरे धीरे समझ आने लगा होगा कि ये जो steps है इन lines के बीच में यूज़ होने वाला है. So यहाँ पे 8th line के अंदर हम लोग जो चेंज करने वाले हैं वो स्टेप के अंदर इंक्लूडेड है. फिर स्टेप में मेंशन किया गया कि हम लोग जो भी करने वाले वो 8th लाइन के अंदर है. फिर स्क्रॉल अप, आपको ये भी टेक्स्ट दिखेगा, बट यू आर नॉट सपोज टू टच दिस टेक्स्ट फॉर दिस स्टेप. एनीवे, सो वी गो टू 8, द 8th लाइन, और यहाँ पे दिखा रहा है इनसाइड द इमेज एलिमेंट, दिस इमेज एलिमेंट एड एन ऑल्ट एट्रीब्यूट विद दिस टेक्स्ट. सो यहाँ पे जैसे इन्होंने एग्जाम्पल में यूज़ किया है, इमेज पहले यूज़ किया है, फिर सोर्स एट्रीब्यूट ऐड किया है, एंड देन ऑल्ट एट्रीब्यूट ऐड किया है. सो सेम वे आई विल फॉलो दैट. डबल कोट्स के बाद मैं एक स्पेस डालूंगा एंड आई विल राइट ALT equals to double quotes, and I'll copy this text. Another way to copy this whole entire line, what I'll do is I'll press the left mouse button thrice, 1 2 3. Wow, पूरी लाइन select हो गई. And now I can press command C to copy it, and I'll go to alt again. यहाँ पे मैं cursor blink हो रहा है, यहाँ पे मैं paste कर दूँगा, and I've added the alt text without any spaces, nothing that's wrong, and I think there's nothing wrong. Let's say अगर कुछ गलती होगी तो ये हमें बताई देगा. Check code, control enter. You know what? Let's try purposefully, deliberately removing this, and let's see वो हमें हमारा एरर दिखाता है कि नहीं. अब तक मैंने स्टेप्स किए तो उसमें तो एरर नहीं दिखा रहा था. So let's confirm. Yeah, you can look here. It shows me an X button. पहले वो मुझे tick mark दिखाता था, and now it says test. Sorry, your code does not pass. Keep trying. It means हमने कोई गलती की है, यहाँ पे कुछ गलती की है, जानबूझ के गलती है of course, but कुछ गलती की है, इसकी वजह से ये पास नहीं होता है. And you go to hint. Your code should have an image element. So इसके हिसाब से ये जो हमने डाला है उसकी वजह से उसको समझ नहीं आ रहा है हमने इमेज एलिमेंट डाला है कि नहीं. दैट मीन्स इट्स इनकम्प्लीट. यू रिमूव द इमेज एलिमेंट फ्रॉम एन अर्लियर स्टेप. सो अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस हिंट डाल रहा है. नाउ आई नो व्हाट आई डिड रॉन्ग. मैंने यहाँ से कोड हटा दिए थे. जैसे ही मैं यहाँ पे कोड वापस डाल दूँगा और मैं कंट्रोल एंटर दबाऊँगा, इट विल शो मी दैट माई कोड इज़ करेक्ट. बट until then, whatever mistakes I made, it will not let me go to the next step. That is very good. So that's correct. Your code should have an image element. Yep, that it does. You remove the image element from an earlier step. So shayad it's giving me a hint that what I could do to improve my code, correct my code. Anyway, let's continue. Great. और हो गया, and it shows me the green color here. So that means जो भी मैंने डाला है वो correct है, and I can go to the next step. And again यहाँ पे tick mark भी दिखा रहा है, congratulations, your code passes, submit your code to continue. Anyway, yes, I pressed control enter. Okay, now I'm on step 10. 10th step में क्या दिखा रहा है? So you can link to another page with the anchor element. Wow, that's another element. You know what? Let's recap. क्या क्या एलिमेंट्स हमने अभी समझे. आई विल शो यू माई स्क्रीन. लेट्स सी. सो Give me a second, guys. Great, guys, just a second. Yeah, so now I have this open. Notes, great. मैं वो notes open करता हूँ and I'll show you what tags we've come across by now. Just a second. Yep, I have the home screen. Yes, now you can look here. I'll click on this. Yep, so that's my notes from today. यहाँ पे दिख रहा है हमने comments learn किए. Control Z. H1 H6P self closing tags में हमने image tag को समझा. Then now we have come across another tag called a tag. You know what, I'll add these for you to understand. Self closing tags, image, p tag. Guys, you must have noticed जो भी tags है they're all in lower case. जो भी letters हमने tags में use किए they're all in lower case. Make sure you guys remember that. आगे कोई future में और दिखाएंगे तो भी हम लोग देखेंगे. But yeah, if you've noticed all the tags are in lower case. Image img से लेके a tag से लेकर अभी image के अंदर हमने attributes को सीखा. So what are attributes? Their quality. There are quality of a tag. So I'll write attributes. Attributes के अंदर हमने सीखा. That's so what we learned is source. Then we learned alternative, also alt. और source में हम लोग attributes में हम लोग उसकी values भी देते हैं कि वो क्या होगा. source alt text क्या होगा. So I'll write equals to and double quotes and attributes. So this is what we've learned so far. H1 H2 headers, HTML और body tags अभी हम लोग आगे समझेंगे. But this is what we've learned so far. Let's continue. So now we have this open again. I'm on step 10. Yes, so we have anchor element. So what is anchor element? For example, href, that's another attribute. https://freecodecamp.org, then it ends, then there's a closing anchor tag, would link to freecodecamp.com. So what do we use anchor elements for? Let's Google what are anchor tags in HTML. Wow. So the a tag defines a hyperlink which is used to link from one page to another. I think you guys must have experienced this all the time. Hyperlink क्या होता है? Simply this is a hyperlink. ये जो आपको दिख रहा है that's a hyperlink. And where does it take me? So वो जो मुझे कहाँ पे ले जाएगा, where will it take me? So वो mention किया जाता है हम लोग ये वाले text में href के अंदर. And as soon as I click on this, it will take me to a website. So that's what is mentioned in this. मैं इसको click करता हूँ और मुझे जो website पे ले जाता है, that's a part of a tag. So let's go back, anchor tag, and you can notice here too, ये भी small में ही है, small a, that's the small letter a, and lowercase a, you can also use lowercase, and you can link to another page with an anchor element. Okay, so I can link another page. यहाँ पे भी लिखा था, but I showed you guys anyway. I went to Google anyway. You can link to another page with anchor element, for example this, and now they're telling me what to do. So add an anchor element after the paragraph that links to this website, this link. At this point the link won't show up in the preview. So हम लोग ये कर भी लेंगे स्टेप फिनिश करके, बट ये स्टेप फिनिश करने के बाद ये लिंक प्रीव्यू में नहीं दिखाएगी. So what does that mean? Let's do it and find out what that means. So So add an anchor element. So यहाँ पे मैं लिखूँगा, I'll open the bracket, then I'll press A space href equals to single quote and https://freecatphotoapp.com. Okay, https freecatphotoapp.com. Yes. Another way you guys can ensure that यहाँ पे कोई typos नहीं है, you can simply copy this. ये जो com के बाद dot है वो नहीं लेना है. You can also copy this. Also I'll copy that https and I can paste it here, or I can check it letter by letter. मैंने कुछ गलती नहीं की है. I'll paste it. ये मैंने paste कर दिया and it is the same thing. It didn't change a thing. So I think I'm good to go. अभी हमने ये anchor element डाल दिया. यहाँ पे कुछ दिख नहीं रहा है by the way. और वो image भी गायब हो गया. So what's up with that? So let's find out what's going on. I think as soon as I add a closing A tag, वो image वापस दिखाने लगेगा. Wow. So we haven't touched that image. वो तो image यहाँ पे नीचे है ही. We haven't touched that line. We are working with the 8th line here. ahref https://freecatphotoapp.com. Now let's see what happens here. And I think I should add another. Yes, yeah, I forgot to add that icon. Sorry, that symbol. And let's check whether we've done something or not, something right or something wrong. So at this point the link won't show up in the preview. Great, congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. So एक बार हम लोग कंट्रोल एंटर दबाते तो वो चेक करता है हमने सब बराबर डाला है कि नहीं, सब लिखा है कि नहीं. And when I press it again, it will takes me to the next challenge. So that means I've submitted the step 10. Great. Now I'm on step 11. A link's text must be placed between the opening and closing tags of an anchor element. For example, ahref equals https click here to go to freecodecamp.org/a is a link where the text click here to go to freecodecamp.org. So again I will show you this example. So this is what it is. तो हम लोग जो भी इन दोनों के बीच में डालेंगे, this is where it is. This is whatever text I write here will is linked to this website. So the same way मैं जो लिखता हूँ यहाँ पे जो इन्होंने लिखा है W3 schools है, HTML और tag space W3 schools, ये जो भी दिख रहा है आपको ये सब यहाँ पे लिखा जाता है. दो opening A tags और closing A tag के बीच में. So I'll go here, add the anchor text linked to cat pictures, and I'll copy that to the anchor element. So the anchor text, this will become the links text. So यहाँ पे जो मैंने HTH लिखा है, I'll quickly remove that and I'll paste it. Now you can see here that has become a hyperlink. इसको मैं क्लिक करूँगा तो मुझे एक वेबसाइट पे दिखाएगा. But I'm on freeCodeCamp right now, तो ये मुझे notification दिखाएगा. So what does this notification say? Normally this link would bring you to another website. It works. This is a link to freecatphotoapp.com. So when I clicked on it, it should take me to a website, but freeCodeCamp ने इसे हमारे learning के लिए रखा है that this link, whatever we have linked it to, works. So worry not and please continue with the code. तो मैंने click कर दिया and I've added the text without any space, no spaces before or after. This will become the links text. Let's confirm. Let's press Ctrl Enter. I'll click on this. Check your code. My code passes. Let's go to the next one. Now step 12. In the previous step you turn the words link to cat pictures into a link. This is the link. Into a link by placing them between opening and closing anchor tags. That's what we did. You can do the same to words inside of an element such as P element, such as AP element. So you can do the same to words inside. Okay. So let's say ये मेरा see more cat photos in a gallery है और मुझे सिर्फ गैलरी को क्लिकेबल बनाना है, उसमें मुझे सिर्फ लिंक डालनी है. So that's also possible. That's also a part of nesting. So what I'll do is, like it says, in the text of your P element, turn the words cat photos into a link to this website by adding opening and closing anchor tags around these words. तो मैं यहाँ पे और यहाँ पे इन दोनों वर्ड्स को मैं लिंक बनाने वाला हूँ. So what I'll do is I'll go to this p tag here, see more cat photos. So C के पीछे not more के बाद स्पेस है, उसके बाद cat के पहले मैं I'll type a tag and photos. I'll add the closing a tag, anchor tag. Now that I've added it, यहाँ पे मैं लिखूँगा I'll write href hyperlink reference, href hyperlink reference, that's what it stands for, and I'll press double quotes and I'll place that link here. So let's copy that. ये जो मुझे white grayish text box में दिखा रहा है, grayish box में जो text दिखा रहा है वो मैं यहाँ पे पेस्ट करने वाला हूँ. And let's see if our code works. It works. It showed me the green light. And यहाँ पे भी मुझे प्रीव्यू में भी दिखा रहा है see more cat photos in our gallery. So that is working. If I click on it, it will give me a notification again. freeCodeCamp says normally this link would bring you to another website. It works. This is a link to freecatphotoapp.com. Great. Let's say guys, if you don't want to look at the preview, you just want to edit the code, then you can edit the code as well. And आपको preview को check करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. As long as this text is green, this line is green, you will know what you're doing is correct. And just for beginners, आपको समझ आना चाहिए कि हम लोग जो change कर रहे हैं वो कैसा दिख रहा है. That's why we use the preview. But you can change the edit and you can do the test. You then do the steps. Follow the steps without looking at the preview anyway. Let's continue. Let's go to the next step. That's step 13. Step 13 में क्या दिखा रहा है? So now that you've turned the text cat photos, I did inside the p element. So मैंने p element के अंदर इसको link बना दिया text को inside the p element in the link. You don't need the second link below the p element. So ये जो है below the p element. So this is the p element. This is where it starts and this is where it ends. So ये जो element है below the p element, second link, or you can also call it the second link, वो पूरा anchor element हम delete कर देंगे. So delete the entire anchor element below the p element. So p element, I would call this the whole p element, और ये मुझे पूरा remove करना है. So what I'll select all of that, the 8th line, I'll select the 8th line, I'll press backspace, delete it, and I'll press backspace again a few more times. And the 8th line is gone. It's not gone if you think about it. The 8th line is here, but we've removed whatever there was in the 8th line. So now whatever there was in the 9th line has become the 8th line. Anyway, check your code. Success. Great. Let's go to the next one. So now we have step 14, add a target attribute with the value _blank to the anchor element's opening tag so that the link opens in a new tab. Oh, so guys, again what they are saying is, let's say whenever you're scrolling through a website, let's take this website for example, or let's take another website for example, any other website. Let's go to Wikipedia, और Wikipedia में random article मैं open करता हूँ. Wikipedia पे जाते हैं and let's see, I'll go to English and I'll open this article, British Logistics. So that is also a link. जैसे मैंने ये link को click किया तो ये इसी tab में open हो गया. Whatever with the current tab I'm in, that's where it opened the website. Of course I can go back to the previous one if I have anything to do with it, but कुछ काम नहीं है तो then I can use this. So this is very important. This is very cool actually, that if I write this target attribute, तो ये जो भी link है वो नए tab में open होगी. I'm doing this manually right now. I'm pressing the command key and then I'm clicking on the link. But if I add that feature, then I don't need to press command button before clicking anything. For Windows users, it's control. So without pressing the control or the command button, how do we open this link? So that's how they've done it. add a target attribute with the value blank to the anchor tag, anchor element's opening tag, so that the link opens in a new tab. So they've mentioned it again. This is where we have to add that text. हम लोग anchor के अंदर डालेंगे, opening tag के अंदर डालेंगे, not in the closing tag. So I'll go to the opening tag. ये रहा opening tag. I'll press space and I'll add target sorry, target equals to double quotes, and I'll write underscore blank attribute with the value blank to the anchor element's opening tag. So the links opens in a new tab. Let's press Control Enter and we're good to go. Wow, amazing. Let's try what happens. So we change this cat photos to a clickable link, and now it opens in a new tab. Let's click on this and find out what happens. So it says normally this link would bring you to another website. It works, but that's not what we're looking for. So what I'll do is I'll open this website and I'll show you what it looks like, really what happens. So I'll open this, a cute cat lying on its back. I see. Anyway, like I said, when I click on this, it will open this in the same current tab, but when I use the blank function, it will open any link in a new tab. Anyway, let's continue, submit and go to the next challenge. Great. So step 15, in previous steps you used an anchor element to turn text into a link. Other types of content can also be turned into a link by wrapping it in anchor tags. So we use an anchor element, of course, that's true, to turn a text into a link. Now it says there are other types of content जिसका यूज़ करके भी मैं लिंक को क्लिक कर सकता हूँ, क्लिकेबल बना सकता हूँ. Can also be turned into a link by wrapping in anchor tags. Okay. So what they're talking about is मैं सिर्फ टेक्स्ट को नहीं बना सकता. अगर मुझे इमेज को भी क्लिकेबल बनाना है, इमेज को भी लिंक में टर्न करना है, so then I can do it. How? So let's see. Again, I'll use the anchor tag for the image. So turn the image into a link by surrounding it with necessary element tags. Use HTTPS freeCodeCamp as the anchor's href attribute value. So great, इन्होंने href value भी दिखा दी है. And quickly I'll just add what we've learned again. So we've learned href again. I'll add this. Href is also a part of the attributes. So href, oh, it automatically removed that. Href oh wait, we don't put quotes before. We press equals to and I'll add two quotes. Great. So that's attribute source, alt and href. और कौन से हमने learn किए, please बताइएगा इस comments में. And we've also used target, of course. Silly of me, we used target too. So target is for, again, please guys mention in the comments what does the target attribute do, underscore target attribute do. So I'll write target, not underscore, target equals to double quotes underscore blank. ये हमने learn किया. This helps me open anything in a new tab. Great. Now let's continue to Google Chrome. Yeah. So we have step 15. क्या करना है? Turn the image into a link by surrounding it with the necessary element tags. Great. So I'll place the cursor here. I'll write this A, and while we're at it, let's also add the closing tag. So यहाँ पे मैं closing tag भी बना देता हूँ. I'll put a slash, and that's how a closing tag. That's what a closing tag is. And turn the image into a link surrounding it with necessary element tags. So I'll write, okay, into a link. So first I'll write href equals to double quotes. I'll copy this link. Use https freecodecamp.com as the anchor's href attribute value. Paste. Wow. Guys, make sure that you're not adding spaces unless you absolutely need to. अगर आपको समझाना है कि ये क्यों मैंने स्पेस डाला है, यहाँ पे मैं रिमूव करके देखता हूँ. एंड नाउ दिस हैज़ बिकम ahref one word or one element, but the element's name is anchor and this is an attribute. So this is how we differentiate between the element and the attribute. And again, the anchor or the element, the tag element comes first and the attributes come later, come after the element. Anyway, so ये हमने डाल दिया. Let's see what happens, whether it's correct or not. So I'll press Control Enter again. Congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. Wow, so that's correct. And let's see what my preview looks like. जैसे मैं यहाँ पे माउस लेके गया, it says normally this link would bring you to another website. So that means my link works. And it also tells me what the link is. This is a link. This is a link to freeCADphotoAmp.com/. Wow. Okay, that's good. Let's go to submit and go to next challenge. Okay, I think I'll have to press tab. So now I'm on step 16. Before adding any new content, you should make use of a section element to separate the cat photos content from the future content. So हम लोग ये section को separate कर देंगे और हम लोग main will not separate it, will use an element, a new element called section. So let me quickly add that. So I'll add, we came across section element, attributes, source, alt, href, target, blank, section. Guys, let me know if I'm missing any other tag that we learned in this live but we didn't mention it. So before adding any new content, you should make use of a section element to separate the cat photos content from the future content. So let's say ये जो हम लोग cat photos डाल रहे हैं, cat photos के बाद हम लोग कुछ और डालने वाले हैं, तो वो और ये इन दोनों में डिफरेंस हम लोग कैसे डालेंगे. So we can use section tag to define sections, that this section covers cat photos, then the next section covers something else. For example, it could cover a drop down menu, for example. So anyway, let's continue. Section element, and one more thing to mention guys, section के अंदर हम लोग दूसरे elements को nest करते हैं. We don't use any text. If you want to add text, you will be able to add text, but we don't use that for anything else. Let's say I write section and I'll close it here itself. Section again, यहाँ पे मैं कुछ भी लिखूँगा तो वो दिखेगा, but that's not what we're looking for. I'll put the section here before adding any section element. So take, and it's telling me the steps. So take your h2 element p and anchor. So h2 element p, and again I missed this, so take your h2 comment p and anchor elements and nest them in a section element. So h2 comment p, and ये सब तो p के अंदर ही है. Then we have image source, so that's what they were talking about. P and anchor elements and nest them in a section element, and they're that's very nice of them. उन्होंने यहाँ हमारे लिए 5th line और 10th line में space डाल के रखी है, so that we understand that this is where we're supposed to put the section element if somehow we don't understand. क्यों? क्योंकि ये paragraph tag यहाँ पे ख़त्म होता है और ये ahref image यहाँ पे ख़त्म होता है. So let's see, it doesn't mention the image anchor elements, but it is also an anchor elements. So comment p, so p के बाद anchor elements है, so yes, it makes sense. So यहाँ पे मैं section element का closing tag डालूँगा. I've added the /2 and let's see what it looks like. Great, no change, but there's nothing wrong. I have the green light and let's go. It is time to add a new section. So हमने एक section use किया, that was for cat photos. Now we'll add another section, and this will improve readability for whoever is looking at. Yeah, sorry about that. So we'll go to the next line. I'll go to the 11th line now, and it says it's time to add a new section. हमने section अभी add किया, so I'll just write section and I'll paste it. So सो यू कैन लुक हियर, मैंने सेक्शन में एक फर्स्ट में मैंने एस नहीं डाला था, नाउ इट्स वर्किंग. सो सेक्शन मैंने ओपनिंग और क्लोजिंग टैग्स डाल दिया है एंड दैट्स अ ग्रीन लाइट. व्हाट इफ लेट्स एक्सपेरिमेंट गाइस. अगर मैं यहाँ से सेक्शन हटा देता हूँ, मतलब क्लोजिंग टैग हटा देता हूँ, तो क्या मेरा कोड सही है? I'll go back to the previous step again. I'll just confirm, because yeah, let's find out what happens. I'll click on curriculum, responsive web design certification again. I'll go to step 17 of cat photo app. Great. So it is time to add a new section. यहाँ पे मैं जाऊँगा. I'll add SEXCTIOR. What if I write just this much? Yes. See. So it's very important that we also add the closing tag. So यहाँ पे मैं closing tag भी डाल दूँगा. Check your code, submit and go to next challenge. Great. So now on to step 18. Step 18 में दिखा रहा है within the section. So within this section, within the second section element. So within these two, यहाँ पे add a new h2 element with the text cat lists. So यहाँ पे मैं लिखूँगा h2. Guys notice मैंने यहाँ पे indentation डाला है, so that's a part of this section. h2, I'll write cat capital L ISTS and I'll add the closing tag too. Type it, add or type, anyway. Check your code. Yeah, it works. And you can also see here यहाँ पे cat list लिखा हुआ दिखा रहा है. I'll just scroll a little bit. There's nothing to scroll, so I can't scroll, but you can see cat lists here. ये डाल दिया है मैंने. Now let's go to the next challenge. Great. So step 19. When you add a lower rank heading element to the page, it's implied that you're starting a new subsection. So lower rank heading element. What are these? Let's find out. It's implied that you're starting a new subsection. वो तो देख के समझ आ गया that we added a main element above this. We had a main element and we had a section element. So हम लोग main element के अंदर continue कर रहे हैं. You can look here. Main के अंदर हम लोग दूसरा section डाल रहे हैं. So when you add a lower rank heading element, I'm so sorry guys, I made a mistake understanding what that was. When you add a lower rank heading element, यहाँ पे जो h2 की बात कर रहे हैं, that's a lower rank heading element. How is it lower? Because it's lower than h1. If you think h1 और h2 में क्या फ़र्क है, so you can just look here. This is cat photo app, that's h1 and that's h2. तो वो देख के आपको समझ आ जाएगा this is a lower rank heading element and it's implied that you're starting a new subsection. तो जैसे ही मैंने नया सबसेक्शन, अगर मुझे डिक्लेयर करना है, मुझे समझाना है, या फिर कोई भी कोड पढ़ रहा है तो उसको समझना हो कि भाई नया सेक्शन कब शुरू हो रहा है, कहाँ से शुरू हो रहा है, तो वो कोड में जब रीड करेंगे h2 एलिमेंट तो उनको पता चल जाएगा. कैसे पता चल जाएगा? यहाँ पे h2 एलिमेंट डाला है और यहाँ पे भी h2 एलिमेंट डाला है, तो वो देख के समझ आ जाएगा. सो लेट्स कंटिन्यू. इट इज़ इम्प्लाइड. सो जब ये डाला होता है कोड में तो वो समझ आ ही जाता है कि ये नया सेक्शन डाला है, or what you call a new subsection. So because this is the main section. Anyway, after the last h2 element, this is the last h2 element of the second section element. So last h2 element, this is the last second section element. This we are in the second section element. Add an h3 element with this text. The text is things cats love. Okay, I'll copy that text, and fortunately for us, they've already given us a new line and an empty line, and what I'll write here is I'll write h3 and then I'll add the closing tag and I'll paste the text here. If you notice here, I can scroll here and I'll just scroll down a little and you can see here यहाँ पे हमने things cats love डाल दिया है, but this is larger and this is a little bit smaller than this. Just to check, let's see what it looks like if I write h2. यहाँ पे मैंने h2 डाल दिया and this is what it looks like. Now if we go back to h3, wait a second, I'll just go back, right, press H3, उसकी size छोड़ेगी, you saw that. So that's what H1, H2, H3 and till H6 and till H6 what they are for, headers, low ranking heading element. So H3 is low ranks lower than H2. Let's continue. Okay, submit and go to next challenge. Great. So ये भी बराबर है. Notice how I haven't added a space. इस highlighted box में जो भी है वही मैंने copy किया था, यहाँ पे paste किया था. So there is no error. Wow. Okay. So now we have step 20. After the H3 element with the things cats love. So we have this H3 element with this text. Add an unordered list element. So after this H3 element. So this is what I would call an H3 element. This is an H3 element. Now I'll click here and I'll add an unordered list element. So that's another element. यहाँ पे देखिए समझ आ रहा है, unordered list must be for bullet points. But let's see. I'll add this quickly to our notes. So UL, also known as unordered list. We learned about section, we learned about main too. So we have main element. Guys, if you think I'm missing any other elements, please let me know. So far, let's continue. Let's go back to step 20. 1 second. Yes. So after the H3 element with things catalog, text, so we'll add an unordered list. UL. I'll copy that, paste it again, and I'll add a slash before the letter U. Which slash is it, guys? So on the keyboard, जो आपकी कीबोर्ड पे जो शिफ्ट बटन है, राइट साइड के शिफ्ट बटन है, उसके इमीडिएट लेफ्ट में एक स्लैश आपको सिंबल दिखेगा. We also use that for question mark. That's the same key. We don't need to press anything other than that button, and it will show me the slash. Moving on. क्या दिखा रहा है? What does this say? Note that nothing will be displayed at this point. That means they're telling us that we're not adding anything else. Great. हमने एक और element add कर दिया है, and let's go to the next. Now we are on step 21. Use list item, LI elements, to create items in a list. Here is an example of list items in an unordered list. Okay. Use list items. So unordered list मैंने declare की. उसके अंदर जो elements है वो क्या क्या होंगे. जैसे मैं UL में लिख दूँ A, B, C, D, तो मुझे लिस्ट कैसे दिखाएंगे वो दिखा रहा है. तो अनऑर्डर लिस्ट के हम लोग कौन से लिस्ट के एलिमेंट्स ऐड करेंगे वो दिखा रहा है. एंड वी यूज़ लिस्ट LI element to add those elements, add those orders, add those items in the list. Anyway, so this is what the example of a code, an unordered list looks like. The code of an unordered list. यहाँ पे दिख रहा है UL unordered list. This is the closing tag, and inside that tag you can see the indentation, and then this is how it starts, list, and the text, whatever the text is. This here, for example, it's milk, and then we have the closing tag. There's no space in between. Make sure you guys remember that. Then again, list element cheese, and closing tag list. So now we read the command. What are we supposed to do? So within the UL unordered list, nest 3 list items to display 3 things cats love. Great. So I will, and they've also given me 3 options, 3 things, 3 items to show what cats love. So let's just go. I'll write LI once again, and then I'll press LI again, right, okay. Slash, I'll copy this and I'll paste it. Why am I pasting it? Because I can will use that text again and again. Another thing I can do, if I don't want to write this, then I can copy it from here, और ये 2 elements को वो copy करके paste कर देगा, and then we can change the text. So that spacing needs to be a little bit different. Great. और यहाँ पे मैं end में भी एक और list डाल सकता हूँ. I can simply copy this and paste that, and change milk to catnip. So मैं यहाँ पे जाऊँगा, I'll write cat space nip, then I'll edit this laser pointers, sorry, I'll add a space, laser pointers, and we have last but not least lasagna, Lasagna, lasagna. Great. So this is what cats love, and let's see whether we are right. Submit and go to next challenge. Yep, ये कर दिया. Let's go to step 22. After the unordered list, add a new image with an src attribute value set to https:/. So this, if you read the link, if you think about it, आपको ये last पढ़ना है after the slash lasagna.jpg और jpg. So ये देख के समझ आ रहा है कि हम लोग अभी lasagna का image attribute करने वाले हैं, मतलब add करने वाले हैं using the source attribute. So after the unordered list, add a new image with an src attribute value set to this. Okay, so I'll copy this link, https:// and its alt attribute value to a slice of lasagna on a plate. Okay, so unordered list. So like it says here, after the unordered list. And thank you freeCodeCamp, यहाँ पे उन्होंने एक space, एक link डाल के they've already added an empty line for me to add the code, write the code. So what I'll do is I'll add a new image element. So what I'll write is this image closing tag /img ends, then image, और इन दोनों के image के बाद inside this element I will use src source. If you guys think about it, if I check my memory, image is a self-closing tag, so I don't really need to add the slash, the closing tag. मैं सिर्फ image डाल के मेरा काम finish कर सकता हूँ. So after the unordered list, add a new image with an src attribute value. So image source equals to double quotes https:// ये मैंने कॉपी करके रखी थी लिंक, ये मैं पेस्ट करूँगा. ग्रेट, पेस्ट कर दी मैंने लिंक. Now I'll press space and I'll write alt equals to double quotes. In double quotes I'll copy this line, sentence, a slice of lasagna on a plate. So I'll press paste, command V, and I'll check whether my code is right. Before checking, let's see what it looks like. Lasagna का image आ गया, and if I keep my mouse on this, nothing will happen. Wow. But we can still find the alt text. So अगर ये image load नहीं होता गलती से या फिर कुछ error की वजह से, so then we will be able to look at the text, this sentence, a slice of lasagna on a plate. Okay, I think that's where the steps end, and I'll press command space. I'll press Control Enter, and like I can see here, I'll just click on it again. यहाँ पे मैं दबाता हूँ and it shows me the green light, and we can go to the next step. Now I'm on step 23. The figure element represents self-contained content and will allow you to associate an image with a caption. So image का caption मुझे डालना हो तो मैं क्या करूँगा? So to add a caption, I use the figure element. Let's also note this down. I'll go here, write figure, 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 and done. Let's go back. Figure के बारे में हमने पढ़ा. List and unordered list, I'll also mention unordered list. I'll go to the note ul and list li. Yep, this is the only self-closing tag we've come across for now so far. I'll underline this. Let's go. So then we have the figure element. Now, like it says, nest the image you just added within a figure element. So I will nest it. So if you notice here, thanks to freeCodeCamp, 19 and 21 दोनों lines empty दिखा रहा है. So that's where we will nest the image here. and I can see that this is where the two spaces are. So I will write, wait, okay, I'll write figure, I'll copy this. Oh, थोड़ा और नीचे चला गया था, sorry about that. और यहाँ पे मैं closing tag डाल दूँगा. Great. What does it say? Next, the image you just added with a figure element. So figure is also an element, and if you notice here, यहाँ पे space आ गई. Let's say I remove this, and suddenly you will notice that there was no space before. Look at that. So new space आ गई as soon as we added the figure element. And let's check whether our code is correct. It's correct. Let's go to the next step. Step 4. Scroll down again. Great. So a figure caption, fig caption. In short, this is the name of the element. How do I know? Because it's highlighted, and fig caption element is used to add a caption to describe the image contained within the figure element. Okay, so ये जो है, this is inside figure element, this image, and what we'll do is, this is I think exclusive to figure element to describe anything, any image that is contained within the figure element. For example, fig caption a cute cat adds the caption a cute cat. Okay, so after the image nested in the figure element, add a fig caption element with the text set to cats love lasagna. So I'll go to this. Thank you so much for that space, and I'll open this fig caption, add that, copy this much, and I'll paste it again. I'll add the closing tag, and I'll write cats love LASAGNA lasagna. Okay, let's see if I've made any mistake. I have made a mistake. Sorry about that. So that's not where I'm supposed to paste the text, write the text. That's where I'm supposed to show the text. So cats love lasagna, and great, यहाँ पे है cats love lasagna. You can see it's closer to the picture, unlike this text. वो list को देख के समझ आ जाता है, and that's how we know. Let's find out whether we've done anything right or wrong. Green light again. Let's continue. Wow. Okay, so emphasize the word love in the fig caption element by wrapping it in an emphasis M element. So now we've come across another one. So let's mention fig caption, figure, and emphasis. So यहाँ पे मैं गया, figure हमने डाल दिया है. We'll add fig caption, then emphasis, and what else was there? We had figure, another list, figure. Of course, we've added that. I think that's it. Fig caption, alt, source. Yet we've added all of that. We're using fig caption inside the figure element. So step 25. Emphasize the word love in fig caption element by wrapping it in an emphasis element. Also, guys, another, well, we can in HTML5 we call this emphasis, but before it was also known as the bold tag. I'm sure you must have experienced it in your school, or and you use it in everyday life, that we sometimes used make text in bold to make it well, emphasize it. So the same way we're using emphasize here. So मैं love को emphasize करने वाला हूँ. So what I'll do is I'll go to love, I'll write EM, I'll copy that text, and I'll paste it again, the tag. So I'll copy the tag. So EM love lasagna. Wow. Okay, and if you notice here, it is italic. So I was wrong about that. Emphasis, when I write emphasis, it does the italic effect. So हम लोग italics जो डालते हैं, so that's what emphasize does. It emphasizes the text. It makes it look a little bit more like this. And of course, जिसने भी Word use किया है, Microsoft Word use किया है, या फिर कोई भी Google Docs use किया है, so you must have come across this term, italics. So the same way when we use emphasize, we're using italics. So define italics. It says in italic typeface or letter. Yep. So italic font. I'll find out what the pronunciation is.
Italic.
Italic. So it's italic. So an italic typeface or letter. And like we see here, it's a little bit slant. Anyway, emphasize कर दिया. Let's check whether we are right. And we're right. There are no errors. Let's continue. Step 26. After the figure element, that means figure element is this. इसके बाद on the next line, add another h3 element with the text top 3 things cats hate. So now we're adding another section. If you notice it here. So ये हमने एक बनाया cat lists, इसके अंदर h3 यूज़ किया. So हम लोग cat lists के अंदर अभी एक और subsection बना रहे हैं, things top 3 things cats hate. So what I'll do is I'll go here, I'll write figure again, figure, figure. I'm so sorry, I'm not supposed to write figure, I made a mistake. We'll add an h3 tag. So an h3 tag is h3 again. यहाँ पे I'll copy this and I'll add the closing tag, and inside the h3 element I will put this text, top 3 things cats hate. Great. Wow. So ये हो गया. Now we are on step 27. Step 27. Scroll down so that you can see what the preview looks like. Preview is so step 27. The code for an ordered list is similar to an unordered list. So this is what an unordered list looks like, guys. And when we use ordered list, I think the list items in an ordered list are numbered when displayed. So when we used unordered list, यहाँ पे उसने bullet points दिखाए. When we use ordered list, मुझे order दिखाना है. So then we use 1, 2, 3. What we add as our call ordered list, वो हमें 1, 2, 3 numbers दिखाएगा till whatever the element is, till the last element is. Anyway, the code for an ordered list is similar to an unordered list. Yes, it is similar क्योंकि हमें list दिखा रहा है. But list items in an ordered list are numbered when displayed. So unordered में bullet दिखाता है, ordered में number दिखाता है. After the second section elements last h3 element, which is this, add an ordered list with these 3 list names. So I'll go to this step 27. यहाँ पे मैं लिखूँगा, I'll write section. Wait, nope. I will add ordered list, and I'll add inside that ordered list items. So that's OL and OL again with the closing tag. इसके अंदर हम लिखेंगे list, li, copy, paste like this. So list helps me list the items inside an ordered list. Press paste, and what we'll write here is, let's see, so flea treatment. Okay, I cannot copy that, unfortunately. I'll use shift. I have pressed shift button and I'll move the mouse to, I'll move the mouse to after the letter T, and I'll click again. So so for the first time, first step, I click the beginning of the text, beginning of the line, beginning of the sentence, whatever. I click here before the letter F, and I press shift, and I keep pressing shift, and I move the mouse here, and I click on, I click a little bit after the letter T. So that's how we can select 2 words, more than 2 words, anywhere, anything between the 2 clicks. Let's say I click here once, and then I press shift and I click here the second time. So then I've selected everything from after to other cats. Anyway, अभी मैं thunder copy करूँगा. I'll go to the next line, and then I'll click on other cats. I'll copy this, and I'll paste this to other cats, ordered list, and let's see what the preview looks like before we press enter. And look at that, 1, 2, 3. Wow. flea treatment, thunder, and other cats. So that's what cats hate. Let's see, and my code works. There are no errors. Let's continue. So I'll quickly mention that in the code. So we've come across ordered list. So step 28, after the order list, add another figure element. So I know what a figure element is now. So figure, I'll copy that, copy, paste, / figure, opening tag and closing tab, because this is not a self-closing element tag, self-closing tag. So figure, great. Congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. Great, it works. That was a very simple step. Now let's go to step 29. Inside the figure element you just added, yep, I just added this, and this is what they're referring to. Inside this figure element, let's nest an image element with a source attribute set to this link. What is this link? So you can quickly read the link, and the link is of an image called cats.jpg. So let's write that. Inside figure I will write image space source src equals to, in double quotes, I'll go to this link, I'll copy this link, I'll quickly copy this link, copy and paste, and we've added the image. Now let's close this tag. I'm not adding any closing tag, I used these two, and now I'm going to press Ctrl and enter. Yep, I have the green light, we're good to go. Just to confirm what it looks like, I can scroll down and see. Now we have an image of cats, cats.jpg. Now scrolling down, let's go to submit and go to next challenge. Step 30, to improve accessibility of the image you added, add an alt attribute with the text. So again, after the double quotes, I'll press space, I'll write alt equals to double quotes, and inside these quotes I'll copy and paste this text, copy and paste. Great. Yep, we're getting better. Now let's go to step 31. After the last image element, add a fig caption, because we're in a figure, and we'll add a figure caption. And I can see ye 31st line empty hai, so that's where we will add it. And I'll make sure that the text begins 2 spaces after figure, as you can notice here. So यहाँ पे मैं जाऊँगा, after the last image element, add a fig caption. So I'll write fig caption, and I'll close this tag. Okay, slash डाल दिया, and we'll use this line, we'll copy this line. Again, you press the left mouse button thrice in a second, and you'll be able to copy this, select the sentence. Unfortunately, I only want this line, so what I'll do is I'll select it using the mouse. I'll press the left mouse button and then drag until I have selected the text, and then I'll loosen my hold, relieve my finger, and I'll press here. Cats hate other cats. Great. As soon as I press Ctrl Enter, it shows me the green line, and that means I'm good to go. Sorry about that. I'll just check in the preview what I did, so that I know what I'm doing, and then I understand what I'm looking at. What changes do I need to make, or what changes I have been making to the website. Anyway, let's continue. Step 32, the strong element is used to indicate some text is of strong importance or urgent. So strong, I think, is what we will use as bold. So we learned what emphasis is. I'll scroll a little bit. Yes, we learned what emphasis is, and I'll just add that. So EM we already had, we'll use strong, and strong डाल दिया, fig caption, figure सब डाल दिया. Great. So after order list, we're using the strong element. Just a second. Yes. So strong element is used to indicate that some text is of strong importance or urgent. Bold. it's important. It's important that your attention is spent on it. So मैं जाऊँगा step 32. In the fig caption you just added, indicate that hate is of strong importance by wrapping it in a strong element. So wrapping it, हम लोग सिर्फ hate word को bold करने वाले हैं. We can also say apply. So we'll apply the strong element to only the hate word, the word hate. यहाँ पे मैंने डाल दिए, and I'll write strong, strong. I made a typo there, strong. I'll copy this text. Okay, copy. I'll press paste again. I'll add the slash, and you can see here as soon as I added slash, it changed. ये पूरा पहले selected था. Give me a second. I'll scroll a little bit more. Now you should be able to look at it. Yes. So cats hate other cats. But let's say if I remove this slash, notice what happens here. Whatever I added after strong, whatever text is after strong, उसने सारा text change कर दिया, मतलब bold कर दिया. So it's very important that we use the closing tag. Great. So cats hate other cats. What? So we've added the strong element, and let's see, and we're right, and we can submit and go to the next challenge. Great. So it is time to add a new section. Add a third section element below the second section element. So it is time to add a new section. Yes. So यहाँ पे if we scroll down a little, I will scroll down a little. Wow, we've added so much text. So it is time to add the third section element below the second section element. So let's see, this is the first section element. This is where the first section ends. We scroll down a little so we can see the beginning of the second section, and I'll scroll a little bit more, and I can see that section ends here, the second section. यहाँ पे 34th line पे मैं यहाँ पे लिखूँगा section again, or I can reuse this text, copy, paste, and I remove this, and now I have another section. Great. I'll press Ctrl and enter and check. It gives me the green light. Very simple step. Next to go. In 34, step 34, inside the third section element, add an H2 element with the text cat form. So let's go. Add this. Yeah. Okay. Press tab. When I pressed tab, it took me directly 2 spaces after section in the 35th line. Inside the third section element, that's where we're at. We will add an H2 element. So H2 again. We'll close the tag. Oh, I put the wrong thing. Yeah, slash dal diya. Great. Now we will write cat form. Yep, good to go. Now let's go to step 35. Now we will add a web form to collect information from users. Okay, so I'm sure you guys must have used Google Forms, but I think in this version we will use something much simpler to understand what we're learning. I'll scroll down, and cat form हमने डाल दिया, यहाँ पे दिख रहा है. और अब हम डालेंगे form element. That's a new element now. So I think we're going to create another subsection inside a section. Not another, we're going to create a section inside a section. So now you will add a web form. So let's create a web form. Like it says, after the cat form heading. So after the heading in the 36th line, add a form element. Now it mentions that form element is not a self-closing tag. So I will also write form. I will write the opening tag and the closing tag, and that gives the green light, so we're good to go. Now let's go to step 36. The action attribute indicates where form data should be sent. For example, form action equals to submit URL form tells the browser that the form data should be sent to the path submit-URL. So क्या action करेंगे? So whenever someone clicks on the button, what action will we take? So that's where this attribute comes. And where will we use this attribute? So we'll use this attribute inside the form element. So add an action attribute with the value this to the form element. So form के अंदर गए, I'll scroll down a little. Inside form, in the opening tag, I'll write action equals to double quotes, and I'll copy this link. So from photo to HTTPS, I'll copy that, I'll paste it here. Great, to the form element. So हमने डाल दिया है. Now how did I know that I'm supposed to add this action inside form and not outside? So it says attribute, so we use attributes inside the opening tags and we use spaces before any tags. अगर मुझे यहाँ पे कोई और tag डालना है, let's say for example source, then I will put a space here. I don't know if source works here because we've already put a link, but anyway, form action. So let's scroll down, and this is the form is still not visible, but ये action निकलेगा. Anyway, let's check. Amazing. Let's go to step 37. So the input elements allows you several ways to collect data from a web form. So input, we'll use input now to, well, yeah, that's I think it's self-explanatory, but the input elements allow you to several ways. So input में अलग-अलग options से हम लोग data collect कर सकते हैं. So let's say we can ask someone to upload an image, upload an image, tell us their age, tell us their password, tell us their anything, whatever, you know, what you can find in a form. So the same way we have radio buttons too. हमें form कैसे दिखाना है, क्या दिखना है, क्या text होना चाहिए, everything. So inside input element allows you several ways, like image elements. So the same way image, so just like image, we'll use input elements. Oh, I see, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Like image elements, input elements are self-closing and do not need closing tags. So just like image input is also a self-closing tag, and I will mention that here. If we go up and we see self-closing tags, I can see we have input. Sorry, we have input. Yep, that's right, input. Great. Self-closing tags, image and input. Wow. So the input element allows you several ways to collect data from a web form, like image elements. Input elements are self-closing and do not need closing tags. Nest an input element in the form element. Okay, so let's nest it. So whenever nesting is involved, you can basically what you can do is you press two spaces if the cursor is in the same license on the same margin as form, और हम लोग nesting करेंगे तो हम लोग दो spaces add कर देंगे. I've added two spaces here, and let's see. So I will write input. Guys, this is a self-closing tag, so we don't need to add any closing tags. So I've nested an input element inside the form element, and it's giving me the green light. That's good. So let's go to step 38 now. There are many kinds of inputs you can create using the type attribute. Type attributes. So that's again new. What is a type attribute? So I'll go down here and I'll just quickly mention type. Press enter. TYPE. Type attribute. And there are many kinds of inputs you can create using the type attribute. So inside input, we will use the type attribute. I will mention this type attribute in the attributes section. So attributes source href. I'm sorry, Control Z. Again, Control Z. Type डाल दिया है. We go to attributes and we paste that type. So we have type, target, and so many more. Let's zoom this. Wow, okay. So step 38, type attribute. What will we do with this type attribute? You can easily create a password field. So मुझे कैसी field चाहिए? मुझे टेक्स्ट वाली फील्ड चाहिए, मुझे टेक्स्ट नहीं दिखाना चाहिए, मुझे सिर्फ अगर मैं पासवर्ड डाल रहा हूँ तो पासवर्ड में मुझे स्टार्स दिखने चाहिए. रीसेट बटन क्या होता है? What kind of a button, what kind of a field it is? That's what we use in type element. So or a control to let user select a file from their computer. So let's click on this again. Create a text field to get text input from a user by adding the type attribute with the value text to the input element. So I'll go in the input element. Inside input element I'll write type equals to, in double quotes. In double quotes I will write text. So we want to input, what do we want to input? Text. So you can see here I can write text here. So whatever this is, we can add or write text in here. What if I write password, for example, password? So if I write password here, you'll be able to see the change immediately. आपने दिख रहा होगा यहाँ पे सब dots आ गए, bullets आ गए. I wouldn't say bullets. You can look at this. We have dots instead of text. That's the password type. Anyway, I'm sure we'll come across the password type too. So now create a text field to get text input from a user, adding the type attribute the value text to the input element. We did. I'll just write text so that it knows. Let's confirm. I will not save the password. That's great. That was Google Chrome, guys. Anyway, submit and go to next challenge. Step 39. In order for a form's data to be accessed by the location specified in the action attribute, you must give the text field a name attribute and assign it a value. Wait, okay, I'm reading this but I don't understand. Let's read it again. In order for a form's data to be accessed by the location, okay, so in order for the form's data to be accessed. Scroll quickly. Okay, why is the scroll button not working? Yes, it's working. In order for a form's data to be accessed, तो जो भी फॉर्म में जो भी डेटा भरता है वो किसी को देखना हो, एक्सेस करना हो, to be accessed by the location specified in the action attribute. So यहाँ पे action attribute के अंदर जो हमने लोकेशन मेंशन की है, वो लोकेशन पे किसी को ये डेटा एक्सेस करना हो, so then what you have to do is you must give the text field a name attribute and assign it a value to represent the data being submitted. Wow. Okay, so what is a name attribute? If you think about it, I mean, I understand broadly, but let's go to Google and let's write name attribute in freeCodeCamp, or I would write HTML instead. Name attribute in HTML, and you can see the official website w3schools.com. It says the name attribute specifies a name for an HTML element. So yeah, it specifies a name. This name attribute can be used to reference the element in a JavaScript. So this is something related to JavaScript. We haven't come across that yet, but great, we can use this in JavaScript. For a form element, that's what we are using. So that's great. For a form element, the name attribute is used as a reference when the data is submitted. Okay, so I think this is relevant for an iframe. We haven't come across iframe yet, but we will soon come across this in the future, I hope so. So if you think about it, मैं जो भी फॉर्म भरता हूँ, लेट्स से मैं गूगल फॉर्म्स में फॉर्म भरता हूँ, तो वो जो डेटा जो भरा जाता है वो कौन देख सकता है, या फिर कहाँ पे वो जाएगा डेटा, वो सब आई थिंक यहाँ पे मेंशन होता है. फॉर्म एलिमेंट के अंदर जो भी डेटा है वो हम नेम कैसे डालते हैं उसके पता चलता है. एनीवे, आई एम श्योर आई विल लर्न मोर एज आई गो फर्दर. सो let's read it again. Let's try to make more sense of it. In order for a form's data to be accessed by the location specified in the action attribute, you must give the text field a name attribute and assign it a value to represent the data being submitted. Yes, so name. So I think when we are talking about this input type text, तो ये जो input type है इसका नाम क्या है? हमने text तो लिख दिया, लेकिन ये कौन सा टेक्स्ट है? सो लेट्स से मैं यहाँ पे हर्षल लिख रहा हूँ, तो जो डेटा ये जो हर्षल लिखा हुआ है वो वहाँ पे जाएगा, तो पता कैसे चलेगा कि ये हर्षल फर्स्ट नेम है या लास्ट नेम है? So I think that's what they're talking about, and it's related to JavaScript like we read here. So we'll discuss this in a later section. Maybe we'll come across this again. Anyway, in order for a form's data to be accessed by the location specified in the action attribute, yes, forms data, yeah, it makes much more sense. You must give the text field a name attribute and assign it a value to represent the data being submitted. For example, you could use the following syntax for an email address text field. I see. So these can also be columns for the website that we've linked here. That इस वेबसाइट पे जो भी फॉर्म का डेटा है वो दिखता है, सेंड किया जाता है, और वो सारा डेटा हम लोग यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं. तो अगर 50 लोगों ने उनका नेम एट्रीब्यूट भरा है, नेम लेट्स से नेम में फुल फर्स्ट नेम लिखा है, सो देन फर्स्ट नेम के लिस्ट में जो भी हमने यहाँ पे हर शब्द पे लिखा है वो दिखेगा. सो द सेम वे they're asking me to add a name attribute, which I will copy that. I'll go here, input text, I'll add a space because this is an attribute, it's an attribute inside input. I'll press enter, sorry, equals to double quotes cat photo URL, attribute with the value cat photo URL to your text field. So यहाँ पे गए और paste कर दिया. I'll press Control Enter. It gives me the green light, so we're good to go. And let's press Control Enter again, and now we're on step 40. Wow! Placeholder text is used to give people a hint about what kind of information to enter into an input. So, for example, in an example भी दिया है. So, placeholder text. What is a placeholder text? I think let's find out. I think whatever the text जो इसका डिस्क्रिप्शन देता होगा कि ये भाई यहाँ पे ये भरना है, वो प्लेस होल्डर टेक्स्ट में होना चाहिए. लेट्स कंफर्म दैट बाय डूइंग इट आवरसेल्व्स. सो आई विल स्क्रॉल अ लिटिल बिट. यस, प्लेस होल्डर टेक्स्ट इज यूज्ड टू गिव पीपल अ हिंट अबाउट व्हाट काइंड ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन टू एंटर इनटू एन इनपुट. फॉर एग्जांपल, इनपुट टाइप टेक्स्ट प्लेस email address. So the same way, add the placeholder text cat photo URL to your input element. So I'll write this and a placeholder text. I'll write placeholder 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 equals to double quotes paste cat photo URL. And as you can see here, यहाँ पे text दिखाने लगा है इसके अंदर, but that's preview text, or what you would call what I should actually call placeholder. So placeholder, तो ये देख के हमारे यूज़र्स को, व्यूअर्स को पता चल जाएगा कि यहाँ हम कैट फोटो URL पेस्ट कर सकते हैं या फिर हमें करना चाहिए. नाउ आई विल क्लिक ऑन चेक योर कोड. लेट्स सी वेदर इट्स करेक्ट, एंड इट्स करेक्ट. ग्रेट. लेट्स मूव टू द नेक्स्ट स्टेप, स्टेप 41. आई विल स्क्रॉल अगेन so that you can see what changes I'm making to the sheet, और मुझे भी थोड़ा आइडिया रहे हम लोग कर क्या रहे. So to prevent a user from submitting your own form when required information is missing, so prevent a user from submitting. So let's say जितनी भी fields है, ये सारी fields हमें भरवानी है, it's a required attribute. Then what we do is we add the required attribute. It's as simple as that. Just like strong and emphasis and well, etc. Figure caption. So I added type before. I'll use this. I'll put the required attribute too. Required is an attribute, so instead of this list, I will add it to the attributes list, comma space required. Then we also learned placeholder. Placeholder is also a part, is also an attribute. What else did I miss? So name attribute. Yes, name and type. So, comma name type. So we learned this many today. Placeholder, name, type. I've written type again. I wrote type again. Okay. So name, type, great. Guys, please mention in the comments if I'm missing anything. So to prevent a user from submitting your work when required information, you need to add the required attribute to the input element. Okay, you need to add a required element attribute to an input element. So inside the input element, let's put it, there's no need to set a value to the required attribute. There's a need to set a required value. So if we just add the word required, it will work. We don't need to do it the same way as type and name. हम लोग सिर्फ लिख देंगे required, then it will work. Amazing work as always, HTML. Thank you so much. To the input element, making sure there is a space between it and other attributes. So I'll check the code, I'll press Ctrl Enter. Let's see if I've made any mistakes. And I've not made any mistakes. Let's continue. So now I'm on step 42. Use the button element to create a clickable button. For example, button, click here, button. Again, so yeah, that's an element. Creates a button within the text. Click here. Yes, so click here will become a button. Now what's the difference? What does it look like? So let's scroll a little bit, scroll below, and let's see जब हम text डालते हैं ये button element का तो कैसा दिखता है. So this is the explanation and this is the step. Add a button element with the text submit below the input element. So this is the input element, and I'll go here to the 30th line. In the 30th line I'll write button, button, button. I'll copy this because this is not a self-closing tag, and I'll add the closing tag. Now inside button, not inside button, between the two tags, opening and closing tags, I'll write submit with S capital, submit, and you can see to your right in the preview that you can see the submit button now. Let's look at it again. I'll select all of it and I'll press Ctrl X, Command X for Mac users, Ctrl X for Windows users, Command X. I'll cut the text and let's keep our eyes here. यहाँ पे submit button गायब हो जाएगा, and it's here again. So that's what submit, that's what the button does. Let's say I want to write something else. I can write something else here. I can also write click here, write type here, and it becomes click here. So whatever you want it to look like, whatever the text you want it to be, वो दिखेगा. Let's see. Add a button the default sense, the default behavior. So default behavior when we have not added an attribute of clicking a form button without any attributes. So we haven't added any attributes. Submits the form to the location specified in the form's action attribute. So I'll zoom out a little so that you can see it clearly. So if you notice it here at the 39th line and the 36th line, we're currently inside the form element, form section, form element, whatever you want to call it. I would call it form element, and form के अंदर ये सब nested है. So ये जो button है, if it were inside some other form, so then it would follow the action link of that form. Anyway, let's continue. So जब मैं यहाँ पे submit दबाऊंगा तो ये जो link है यहाँ पे वो data जाएगा. I think I've said it enough times. Let's continue. So step 42, here we go. Let's check और कुछ है without any attributes. They're explaining to you. Okay, they're explaining to what it was. So I've added it. Let's confirm. I've checked my code. Great. Now I have to press. I think I'll press Control Enter again. It seems. Yes, I think I'll have to click on this thing. I see. The internet must be off or something. Let me give me a second please guys. Yeah, it just took a second for the thing to load. Great. I'll close these tabs. I don't need these tabs for now. I don't need this tab again at all. So step 43. Sorry, I'll just scroll the preview so that you guys can see what I'm doing, what it looks like, whatever I'm doing. So step 43, even though you added your button below the text input, they appear next to each other on the page. Yes, that is true. Even though I added the text below it, commands below it, I can see that. मैंने ये button और input ये अलग-अलग lines में डाला. Look at the line number of this and look at the line number, the number of the line. I'll scroll a little bit. I'll scroll to 37, input type text. So this is on 37. So even if I added it below the text input, it still is here. ये यहाँ पे text नहीं आया. Why? So they appear next to each other on the page. That's because both input and button elements are inline elements. They are inline. Inline is well, self-explanatory. They are inline, so they're in one line. So inline elements which don't appear on new lines. So they don't automatically appear on new lines. So what I'll do is, let's read further, and that's why it's in the same line. And let's read further. So the button you added will submit the form by default. So the button you added will submit the form by default. If I click on submit, it will submit the form by default. We read that. However, relying on default behavior may cause confusion. Add the type attribute with the value submit to the button to make it clear that it is a submit button. What I'll do is I'll add a type attribute with the value submit inside button. So I'll write type equals to submit sub. Here the s is small, notice guys, please check that, and just give me a second, I'll do something. Okay, yeah. So if you notice here, button type submit button. So the button you added will submit the form by default. However, relying on default behavior may cause confusion. Add the type attribute with the value submit to the button to make it clear that it is a submit button. So it makes it easier for people to read that code, and they'll understand what this button does. It will submit the data, so that we can remove any confusion. However, relying on default behavior. So default behavior. So we use type to submit it, and this is also the type this. So this is type text and this is the type submit. So इससे पता चलेगा कि ये क्या है, कौन से टाइप का बटन है. Anyway, let's move on. This is, of course, it gives me the green light. Let's move on to the next step. Step 44. You can use radio buttons for questions where you want only one answer out of multiple options. So radio buttons. So let's just show you people what radio buttons are. So this is what a radio button is. Radio buttons. You must have come across these radio buttons everywhere. आपको इमेज दिखा देता हूँ. That's a Visa, Mastercard, PayPal, Callisto, Ganymede. So this is what the radio buttons are like. You can, I'm sure you've come across these radio buttons. ये भी है. So when this is the unselected button and this is the selected radio button, this is what it looks like. And let's go back. So these are radio buttons. I'll close this tab, Command W. I've closed the tab. And step 44, you can use radio buttons for questions where you want only one answer out of multiple options. I'll scroll this down so that you can also look at what radio buttons are like. And step 44, you can use radio buttons for questions. Yes. It's telling me the usage. You can use radio buttons for questions where you only want one answer out of multiple options. जब multiple choice questions होते हैं, let's say we have 4 options, and out of those 4 options we only want the user to choose one option. So then we use radio buttons. We can use radio buttons. Here is an example of a radio button with the option cat, input type radio cat. Whoa, okay. So I'll just also, great. So here is an example of a radio button. So cat, input type radio cat. I see. So remember that input elements are self-closing. So input elements are self-closing, like it says here. Great. I will also mention all the tags I've come across before. So input, we have name, yes, placeholder, yes, and required. Required is an attribute. I will cut this. I've already added required. That's nice of me. So let's continue. Now I'm on line 37. What is he asking me to do? So before the text input, that is correct, before the text input. So this is input, text input. I will write, I press tab. Yes. Add a radio button with the option set as indoor. So I'll write input, input inside input, because input is a self-closing tab, so I don't need to put the closing tag. Input, inside input I will write type equals to double quotes radio, input type radio, and I think that should do it. Yes. And the option, so before the text input add a radio button with the option set as indoor, so I'll write INDOR. Great. Notice guys that I haven't put any self-closing any closing tags here, and let's see whether what I've done is correct or incorrect. Yep, it shows me the green light and we're good to go. Let's go to step 45. Label elements are used to help associate the text for an input element with the input element itself. What? Let's quickly mention the label element if I haven't already. So I'll go down, LABEL. Great. Label element. Let's confirm whether I have not. Yep, I have. This is the first time I'm coming across label. Label elements are used to help associate the text for an input element with the input element itself. What? I'll have to read it a few more times. So label elements, so label is an element, and what are they used for? So they are used to help associate the text for an input element. So association relation, the text for an input element with the text with the input element itself. Okay. Let's read the example, maybe that will help us understand. So label comes before input, and I see. So makes it so clicking the word cat also selects the corresponding radio button. So right now the text, I'll scroll this just a second please, and scroll. So when I click on indoor, I can't select the radio button. I have to place the mouse on the button to click on it. If I click on it, of course it turns blue, but if I click on indoor, it does nothing. So what if I want to click on indoor, and click on indoor selects the radio button itself? So what I'll do is I will nest I'll nest the radio button inside the label element. So I'll open LABEL, copy, paste, /label, control enter, submit, and go to next challenge. Great. And I forgot to show you, but this is what it looks like when if I now place my mouse on the word indoor and I click. Now I can click on the radio button without using the indoor button. Anyway, so on to step 46. The ID attribute is used to identify specific HTML elements. Each ID attribute's value must be unique from all other ID values for the entire page. So the ID attribute is used to specify specific ID. Okay, so we'll use ID. ID is an attribute. I will quickly mention that if I haven't already. So ID. And what does ID do? ID attribute is used to identify specific HTML elements. So yeah, ID identify, that makes sense. Now what kind of HTML elements? What is the use? So each ID attribute's value must be unique from all other ID values for the entire page. I see. So this is a must. These cannot be the same. Let's Google why and what are ID attributes. So what are ID attributes in HTML? Great. What does it say? So the ID attribute specifies a unique ID for an HTML element. The value of ID attribute must be unique within the HTML document. The ID attribute is used to point to a specific style declaration in a style sheet. So when they say style sheet, this is CSS. I'm sure we'll come across ID and how we use IDs in CSS and for HTML, and let's find out in the next one. It is also used by JavaScript to access and manipulate the element with the specific ID. So ये JavaScript और CSS से related है. I think we will cover that in the next stream. So let's continue with HTML now. So the ID attribute is used to, so again it's an attribute and they haven't specially mentioned it. So यहाँ पे जैसे type is also an attribute. The same way we'll write ID. So let's see where we have to write put that attribute. Each ID attribute's value must be unique from other ID values for the entire page. I'm sure this is in relation to CSS and JavaScript. Add an ID attribute with the value indoor to the radio button. Okay, so inside to the radio button. So inside the radio button, I'm not putting it in label, I'm putting it in the radio button. That's where the input type radio is. I'll write ID equals to double quotes I and D double R indoor. Great. When elements have multiple attributes, the order of the attributes doesn't matter. So even if I put this attribute here, it really doesn't matter. I'll put that text, sorry. Yes, the quotes, yeah. So the order doesn't matter. So you guys can write the type first and then the ID later. But if you follow one theme, then I think it would work. So let's say अगर हम लोग दूसरे भी elements use कर रहे हैं और हर एक में ID use कर रहे हैं और ID के बाद type कर रहे हैं, then that order will look better. But it doesn't matter what your order is. अगर आपने एक लेबल में इंडोर को पहले रखा है और फिर रेडियो को बाद में रखा है, आईडी को पहले रखा है, टाइप को बाद में रखा है, इन अदर लेबल्स, अदर इनपुट टैग्स आपने रेडियो बटन को पहले रखा है और आईडी को बाद में रखा है, टाइप को पहले रखा है, आईडी को बाद में रखा है, इट डजंट मैटर. सो द ऑर्डर ऑफ द एट्रीब्यूट्स डजंट मैटर. लेट्स कंटिन्यू. यप, it's verified. Let's continue. I'll go to step 47 now. Scroll a little bit. Create another radio button below the first one. Nest it inside a label element with outdoor as the label text. Okay, so create another radio button below the first one. Create another radio button below the first one. Yes. Nest it inside a label element with outdoor as the label text. Give the radio button an ID attribute with outdoor as the value. So let's go. So create another radio button. So what I'll do is I'll copy all of this because I want to create another radio button and I want to nest it inside a label element. So what better way to do it than copying and pasting what we've already written. So nest it inside a label element with the outdoor as the label text. So I'll paste this first, and instead of indoor inside the label text I will write outdoor. So instead of in I will write OUT, outdoor. And आपको रियल टाइम यहाँ पे मैं स्क्रॉल करूँगा तो आपको दिख जाएगा. I'm sorry, the scroll doesn't seem to be working. Let me just click on this and scroll down. Okay, but now you can see the outdoor button. And like I mentioned before, label element जब यूज़ करते हैं तो outdoor text पे भी मैं क्लिक करूँगा तो then it will allow me to select the radio button. I've selected both of them. Wow. I'm sure there's an explanation for that, but let's finish this step 47 first. So give the radio button an ID attribute with outdoor as the value. So like we came across the step before, एक step में mention किया गया था step 45th or 46th में, either of those, that ID should not be the same for each element, or well each ID. The ID should not be the same. So I'll write instead of indoor I'll write type outdoor. And let's check, give the radio button an ID attribute with outdoor as value. That makes sense. Let's write, yep, that works. Let's go to the next step. Step 48. I'll scroll this again. Unfortunately the scroll wasn't working. Now the scroll works now. So step 48, notice that both radio buttons can be selected at the same time. Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's what so yep, दोनों को select कर सकते हैं. And let's read further. To make it so, selecting one radio button automatically deselects the other. Both buttons must have a name attribute with the same value. But if I think about it, it makes sense. Let's say मैंने multiple question पूछा है, multiple choice question, और उसमें से let's say मुझे indoor and outdoor में से सिर्फ एक answer चाहिए. Maybe the question must be something about indoors and outdoors. But anyway, what if I only want to select indoor and not outdoor? What do we do then? So to make it so, selecting one radio button automatically deselects. So that's what we are essentially doing. If I click on this, then this should be unselected, and if I click on outdoor, then indoor should be deselected, unselected, deselected. The other deselects the other. Both buttons must have a name attribute with the same value. Yes. So now we'll add a name attribute to both of these inputs so that इनका deselection हो तो हमें दिखे. So we'll only be able to choose from either of the two. Just a second. Yes. Okay. So now add the name attribute with the value indoor hyphen outdoor to both radio buttons. So I'll copy this. Command C again. Let's scroll a little bit. Yes. And like it said before, the order of attributes doesn't matter. So I'll add name equals to double quotes and paste. Again, I'll do the same thing here. Name equals to double quotes, space again, of course, and paste. So name aa gaya. And we can also check here what are name attributes in HTML. So the name attribute is for JavaScript. I think we came across this before. It's used for a form element. For a form element, the name attribute is used as a reference when the data is submitted. Anyway, so the name attributes specifies the name for an HTML element. Anyway, so we've mentioned the name here, and let's check whether our code is correct. That's a green light. Let's press Ctrl Enter. Wow, so now we're on step 49. I'll scroll down to see whether the last step made its effect. So when I click on outdoor, it shows, yeah, the radio button, yeah, I can see the radio button, it's blue now. And when I click on indoor, it will deselect the outdoor and show me the blue color here, the blue button here, and it will deselect and it will become what indoor looks like now. What? Wait, ho gaya. Great. So ye ho gaya. Now let's go to cat form. Step 49. If you select indoor radio button and submit the form data for the button is based on its name and value attributes. So name and value. What is this? So this is the name indoor outdoor and this is the value. So what is value attribute? So let's read a little bit. Maybe I missed value. Nope. Value is a new attribute and we will mention that here. So if you select the indoor radio button and submit the form data for the button is based on its name and value attributes. We've already mentioned the name attribute, which is the value of this attribute is indoor outdoor, and value attribute. So since your radio buttons do not have a value attribute, the form data will include indoor hyphen outdoor on, which is not useful when you have multiple buttons. I see. I have no clue what this means. So let's read it step by step. Let's go phrase by phrase. If you select the indoor radio button, yes, if I select the indoor radio button and submit the form, if I do that, the form data for the button is based on its name and value attributes. So मैं यहाँ पे submit दबाऊंगा, and if we scroll up, go to form action. On this website, whatever values we submit will be shown on this website based on its name and value attributes. But since we haven't added a value attribute, I'll scroll down a little bit. Since your radio buttons they do not have a value attribute. The form data will include indoor hyphen outdoor equals to on, which is not useful when you have multiple buttons. I see. So let's find out what this means. Let's Google which is not useful when you have multiple buttons. What are they talking about? But I think it's related to, again, JavaScript. But just to confirm, value attributes in HTML, the value attributes specify the value of an input element. So the value attribute is used differently for different input types. For button, reset and submit, it defines the text on the button. Let's read it a little bit more. Text, password and hidden, it defines the initial value of the input field. For checkbox, radio, image, we have radio, it defines the value associated with the input. this is also value that is sent on submit button दबाने पे वो values आ जाएगी. So let's scroll a little bit down. Nope. So in HTML format with different, okay, form action. So we have form action, this is the link, label for, if name, type text, we have another text, type submit, this is the value, and we have name and value. I see. So is value what we fill here? Let's go through this example and let's understand what they're trying to say. So add a value attribute to both radio buttons. So let's write value here. Press space, value equals to double quotes, copy. Okay. Oh, I went a little bit too far. I go to value and the value button attribute to both radio buttons. For convenience, set the button's value attribute to the same value as its ID attribute. So I'll copy ID indoor. I'll press indoor and I'll also press paste here. So value and name, but guys, make sure that you check. I didn't copy the name, I copied the ID. This should be outdoor. OUTDOOR. Great. Indoor, outdoor, on. Let's see what it does. I want to see. So let's go to this website and see what they're talking about. What if I actually do submit my data? Submit cat photo. We will review your submitted response and reply if needed. I see. So let's say I click on outdoor and I click on submit. I see. I also have to fill the URL, of course. Oh, that's because it's a required field. Let's write google.com because that is a URL. And it shows me normally this form would be submitted. It works. This will be submitted to this website. So the link works, but I'm still not sure what this means, what value attribute is. So let's see. So is that what will happen if I select outdoor and I press submit? Will the fields in that JavaScript or CSS or wherever the data is going, will that field inside that website show me the values indoors that इन्होंने indoor के value के अंदर ये link डाली है? I'll mention that in the notes and let's see what it is for. Press I'll go down and I'll read what is value attribute. What does it do? Okay, I'll just zoom out a little so that I can see what it is. Okay, what is value attribute? What is a value attribute? What does it do? In the meanwhile, you can see that there is a space between outdoor and indoor. That space is because it would be too close to the radio button. Anyway, let's check what we've done. हमने values बराबर डाल दिए and we're good to go. Now we go to step 50. The field set element is used to group related inputs and labels together in a web form. Field set elements are block level elements, meaning that they appear on a new line. Yes, so we came across inline elements before and these are block level elements. So I can understand that submit is an inline element and field set is a block level element. So it will obviously appear in a new line. So let's write that too. I'll write field FIELD that is a new element. Great. So the field set element is used to group related inputs and labels together in a web form. In a web form. What is a web form? So I'll write field FIELD set web form. What does that mean? So the field set element, I should go through the official source. Mozilla is also an official source, but I think we should go with W3 schools. Group related elements in a form. The field set tag is used to group related elements in a form. So एक form के अंदर मुझे related elements को feed करना है तो मैं कर सकता हूँ. I think let's say I have a question A, and question A has 4 options. So then those 4 options will be inside field set, and then if I have a next question, if I have the second question, that second question will be in another field set. Let's see what they mean. So let's see. Nest the indoor and outdoor radio buttons within a field set element, and don't forget to indent the radio buttons. So I think that's exactly what they're doing. Let's look here. So on the 37th line, I'll add field for ELB set, copy. I pressed down a little bit too much. I'll scroll using the mouse. Yes, now I'm at field set. I've pasted the closing tag, and I've added the slash to the closing tag. Now what does it say? Nest the indoor and outdoor radio buttons. So we have the indoor and outdoor radio buttons within a field set element, and don't forget to indent the radio buttons. So yes, naturally they are indented. By indentation they mean 2 spaces. Yep, they are indented. Let's see whether what we've done is correct. Let's look at the preview. So preview में दिख रहा है ये box आ गया, and the cat photo URL is now below indoor and outdoor radio buttons. Let's check. Yep, what we're doing is correct. Let's move to the next one. Step 51. I will scroll down again. I can also use the keyboard. I'll use the page down button to scroll down, and that's where we are. Now we have another element called legend element. LEGEND. Legend. Legend is also a part of form, and inside a form what are we writing? So legend elements acts as a caption for the content in the field set element. I see. So it exclusively acts as a caption for field set. So field set, I believe inside this indoor outdoor we'll be able to write the caption. I think by caption we should have a question, and that's right. Yeah, so the caption would be a question for this form, and let's continue. So leave the content in the field set. It gives users context about what they should enter in that part of the form. So it cannot only be a question. शायद वो सभी बोला है कि please select your favorite cat, for example. So there might be this cat, A cat, B cat, etc, etc. So please select your option. So that caption gives the users context about what to select and why to select that. Now add a legend element with the text, is your cat an indoor outdoor cat, for above both of the radio buttons. So above both of the radio buttons matlab upar. So above these, if I write it below the radio buttons, then the text would be somewhere below the radio buttons inside this box. So of course the question comes first. So what I'll do is add a legend element with the text, is your cat an indoor or outdoor cat? Right. So I'll write LEGEND legend. Copy that. I'll put a closing tag because it's not a self closing tag. And if you notice here, something white here. So maybe that's where the legend text will be. The text inside the legend will be. So I'll copy this. Again, I think I have to copy that line. Is your question? I'll have to copy that question. Shift, select, and paste. Oh, I have to keep the cursor there first. Cursor आ गया. And you can look here. यहाँ पे आपको image, आपको यहाँ पे text दिख रहा है, question दिख रहा है, and that text is on the border of the, what do you call this, a field set. So inside this field set, it's not inside the field set, it's on the border of the field set, but it is a part of the field set according to the code. Anyway, so add a legend element with the text. Okay, and above both of the radio buttons. We did that. Let's check. Yep, we're good to go. Let's see. I'm sure it will ask me to add some attributes now. I'll just click here and press page down the bar so I can scroll down. Now let's go to step 52. Next, you are going to add some new form input elements. So add another field set element directly below the current field set element. So I'll just copy this closing tag of field set, the previous field set, and I'll paste. I'll remove the slash from there and I'll paste another field set and I'll check. Yep, simple step. Next, step 53. Now inside this field set we will add some more information. Yep, add a legend element with the text. What's your cat's personality? Great. I'll copy this text, copy this question first, and I'll go to field set. I will put the legend 2 spaces after because it's nested. I'll write legend and I'll open another. I'll put the closing tag legend again. I'll press paste. Oh yeah, maybe I can, yes, if you wanted to look I show it in the same line. Excuse me. Yes, so what's your cat's personality? Okay, so legend, we've added legend inside the second field set element. That's, I think we're good to go. Control enter. Yep. Now we go to step 54. I think we're almost getting there. This is what the preview looked like. Cat photos, see more cat photos in our gallery. Wow, so I can't believe I made this website. Wow. So cat form. Now we're adding another question, and this question is about what's your cat's personality. So forms commonly use checkboxes for questions. So for the first question we used a radio buttons, and now we're going to use checkbox, it seems. So forms commonly use checkboxes for questions that may have more than one answer. I see. So when there's more than one answer, just like this. So we could also have used checkboxes here, but anyway, for example, here's a checkbox with the option of tacos, input type checkbox tacos. So we'll read the step. Under the legend element, which is the line 44, inside line 44 I will under the legend add an input with its type attribute set to checkbox. Okay, so I'll write input, input is not inout, sorry, input. I'll write inside this input I'll add an attribute called type, and equals to type equals to checkbox, and outside the input tag, because it's a self-closing tag, so I don't need to add the closing tag, I'll write loving, loving. So that's the first option. Wow, great. I press enter, and I think the same way we will learn how to click on indoor, how click on indoor can help us click on the radio button as well. And I think we will use this label element for our use. Label element, yeah, label element. Anyway, but for now let's continue. There's something wrong with the cost, so I need to change something. So under the legend uses then add type attribute set to checkbox. I did add a checkbox and give it the option of loving, loving. So what am I doing wrong? Maybe input is not a self-closing tag. Let's see, and it's still wrong. So let's read the hint. Why am I wrong? The input element for your checkbox should have an opening tag but not a closing tag. Okay, so let's remove that and let's try again. What does it say? The text loving should be located directly to the right of your checkbox. So I made a mistake, I believe. The text should be, let's read it again. The text loving should be located directly to the right of your checkbox, which it is right of your checkbox. So then we paste it here to the right of your checkbox, but of your checkbox, okay, make sure there is a space between the element and the text. I see. So just like tacos and just like indoor and outdoor, we have to put a space. Huh. So that's how spaces well, yeah, ruin your thoughts. Anyway, I'll add a space and I'll press loving, and I think that should work, and it worked. So that's all we needed, was a space. I didn't need to move that around the left, right, anywhere. It all made sense now that I've done it. And let's continue. And add an ID attribute. Yes, we will add an ID attribute. So add the value loving to the checkbox input. So again, the order of these attributes doesn't matter. I can write ID after type or before type, as long as it's after the main tag, also the element. Yep, ID loving works. Now we go to steps 56. There's another way to associate an input element's text with the element itself. So there is another way. Let's find out what that way is. So there is another way to associate an input element's text with the element itself. You can nest the text within a label, like we did before with this label, so that it's nested. The button or the input element is nested with some text. Some text meaning this. For example, you can take loving here, and what if I want to nest loving inside this button? So one way is using label and add a for attribute to the same name as the input element's ID attribute. I see. So that's new. That's a for attribute. What is a for attribute? Let's Google it. For, I'll cut that. I think I need to paste it here in attributes. So yep, I've pasted that. Now let's Google, or I'll use this website itself. I'll go to the search bar and I'll search for. Let's see if it gives me options. No, it does not. So let's just write for, and it says JavaScript for loop, Python for loops, HTML for attribute. Wait, third option, HTML label for attribute. So inside label, we have for attribute specifies which form element a label is bounded to. So this label is for, let's say this label is for what's your cat's personality, for example. So there's another way to associate an label. You can nest the text within a label element, which we will, and add a for attribute. You'll put that for attribute inside label with the same value as the input element's ID attribute, like this. So ये जो copy की, ये जो living है, if we are adding for attribute, we will add the same attribute as the ID, the attribute's value. Okay, so associate the text loving with the checkbox by nesting only the text loving in a label element and giving it an appropriate for attribute. So I'll write label and just put that label inside label. I'll write for equals to double quotes, and I'll write control Z, sorry, INPUT, sorry, not input, LOVING, loving. And let's check whether I'm missing anything. Associate the text loving with a checkbox by nesting only the text loving in a label element and giving it an appropriate for attribute. Yes, an appropriate for attribute. I think loving is an appropriate for attribute, but like the first paragraph said, you can nest the text and add for it with the same value. You can do that. You can give it a different for value, but I'm going to stick to adding using the same ID, same value for as ID. Now I'll close the label tag. There shouldn't be any space for loving. Let's see. Let's check the step again, whether we are missing something. Associate the text loving with the checkbox. So this is the checkbox input and this is the text. Now we've associated the two by nesting them inside label and we've added a for attribute, and we've given it an appropriate name. But I don't see a green, so let's see, what am I missing? The text loving should be wrapped in a label element. I see. So not input ID, the text. Okay. So I'm going to try something. So I'll copy the label opening tag, I'll cut it, and I will add it here. Let's paste it. Let's see whether that works. Now there is some space here. I'll remove the space here and I'll put the space here. Let's see whether that works. Nope, that doesn't work as well. So let's read the steps again. Associate the text loving with the checkbox by nesting only the text loving in a label element. Okay, in a label element. Yep, we did that, and giving it an appropriate for attribute. So did we do that? Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Yep. So this is what I entered the first time. Label for loving. And let's scroll down. Let's see what the hint says. Maybe we can read the hint and help ourselves. There should be a space between your checkbox and the new label element. I'll scroll. I'll resize this. Okay, and that should help me. So input ID loving. What happened to that? Maybe I missed it. I see. Yes. So label for loving, and let's see whether that works. That still doesn't work. The text loving should be wrapped in a label element, not the button. I'll remove this. This Command X. I'll go here. I'll paste it here. What does this do? Okay. और ये label वाला label space, of course. यहाँ पे एक space डाल देंगे. That works. So that's where we wanted the space to be. What if I remove the space? How does it work here? I see. That's where the space should be. So when I click on loving, now I will be able to click on the checkbox. Great. Oh, so again, now we are on step 57. What's your cat's personality? Loving. Add the name attribute with the value personality to the checkbox input element. So step 57, input ID loving, type checkbox. Yep. So add the name attribute. So what we'll go do is we'll go to label. I can add it before for or after for. So I'll place it here. So the checkbox input element. But that's where we don't want to add it. We're supposed to add it inside the input element. So inside input, I'll go and write name equals quotes personality. So inside personality, just a second guys, why don't you guys listen to some music and I'll be right back. Hello. So guys, thank you so much for watching till the end. I'll be back in a few, maybe an hour or so, and we'll continue the next steps of the cat photo app. Thank you.